Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream. You been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Person's progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle, amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. Be-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, one and only, one and only. Be-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
He always do it big, you know who it is. Be-Eazy, Be-Eazy, Be-Eazy that dude. He on his way to the top and he ain't about to stop. You thought he would flop and didn't wanna give him props. The things you dreaming about he already did do. Now it's time to soak a game, he about to give you. Like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to tune in when he goes live. Make a contribution if you feeling the content. Tap into the realness if you tired of the nonsense. I mean, no disrespect, ain't trying to sound rude, but the world already knows that Be-Eazy's that dude. Ooh.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. Be-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. Most definitely will ruffle some feathers, controversial topics, so it will be a doozy. Now, I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元のと言っても実際にぐらいです。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったファンのこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no-ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is Be-Eazy Dat Dude. In the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really in me. My pimp ain't international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad And we are activated. And I will be remiss, of course, I've been joined by some illustrious guests already in the building. Salute to a Day. And of course, we got none other than Big Rig Slap saying what it do, what it did do in building. Salute to the chat. We gonna get right into it. Y'all seen the title, y'all seen the thumbnail. I always say that both parties are the same. Two cheeks on the same booty, two fangs on the same viper. You can think of it like wrestling or wrestling like we used to call it. And I know y'all it's WWE, but I grew up on the WWF spirit, you know what I mean? Think of it like Triple H and Undertaker, or the Heartbreak Kid versus The Rock, right? Wrestlers going against each other, but are they really going against each other, right? They're still beholden to the establishment, which is the federation, right? So yeah, both of these parties are the same. And I'm going to break down why both parties support open borders, mainly the Democrats, but the Republicans do nothing to close the border because ultimately you see many of the people that they let in. I will vote for Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump. So they've saying, look, man, F them niggas. We've moved beyond them. So we've used their pain and plight to extract as much resources, to use it to basically suck all of the cultural juice out of the society with affirmative action and DEI. All of these things are usually built on the injustices that Black people face, but then they use it to say, hey, let's give it to non-citizens, right? So hold on, let me correct this banner and then I'll get it into it. So let me pull this up real quick. Give me uno momento and then I'll get into the video. So as y'all can see below, as I will be getting into, and this is just a preface to the discussion, right? Below is a clear, impartial, and detailed summary of which U.S. cities and municipalities allow non-citizen voting. So when they say illegal immigrants can't vote, well, they still provide a benefit to the politicians even if they can't vote. But the thing is, even if they can't vote now, the idea is to ultimately somewhere down the line ensure that they have some level of mass amnesty so that they will be able to vote in the future. So just saying that, oh, well, they can't vote. Well, actually, they can in some local municipalities, and some say all elections are local. So let's just break down some of this type of stuff. Now, some people will say, hey, it's overstated, it's overblown, but the facts are what the facts are, right? So there are a small number of U.S. municipalities, primarily in Maryland, plus a few in Vermont, California, and the District of Columbia, that currently allows non-citizens to vote in local elections. So yes, it is going on, and it may not be going on in every place, but even the place that has an influx of people who came here illegally, people who are unauthorized, people who are undocumented, that still is a political ploy, and I will get into that, right? Maryland right now is the most permissive state. Maryland's constitution allows municipalities to set their own voter eligibility rules. And as a result, at least 11 municipalities allow non-citizens voting in local elections. So when people say, no, it's not happening. Yeah, it may not be happening in your state, in your municipality, but it is happening. And the more municipalities that it happens in, they normalize it and try to find a moral framework to say, see, it's not so bad after all, right? But imagine someone that's not a part of your family, not married into your family, not officially part of your family member, but they have just as much say as you at the dinner table because all human beings matter. Hey, look, nobody says you should be treated like scum of the earth. You shouldn't be abused, but no, bro, you don't have the same say in my household just because you're a human being. And that's kind of what these things are. Well, they're human beings and they worked, even if they're not citizens, then they should be able to have a say in these elections and vote. I say no, but I do say there should be an easier pathway to citizenship. Since you love immigrants so much and there's immigrant exceptionalism going on, well, then make them citizens. But both parties like to leave them in this undocumented, unauthorized, illegal alien status. Well, at the same time, this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, and saying all of this immigrant exceptionalism rhetoric. Well, if that's the case, where's the mass amnesty? Oh, no, we don't want to do that because that's unpopular. So we'll just keep flooding the country with millions and millions, not making them citizens, but we'll give them temporary protected status. What the hell does that mean? Well, I'm being facetious and rhetorical with this, right? So then they'll give hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of people temporary protected status. And rather than get them citizenship, they just keep bringing over more and more and more and more and saying that somehow will help your community, right? So these are all of the counties. I don't need to get into all of the counties and municipalities in Maryland. Also in Vermont, there's two cities, Montpelier and Winooski. They allow non-citizen voting. In California, San Francisco allows non-citizens to vote, but only in the school board elections. And this was enabled by the Proposition N. And this applies to parents or guardians regardless of immigration status. So when they say regardless of immigration status, they're just saying, we don't care if you overstayed your visa. We don't care if you're a legal immigrant. We don't care if you came here illegally. We don't care if you're a non-citizen. You know, all human beings matter. In Washington, D.C., they passed a law allowing non-citizens, including undocumented residents, to vote in local elections, i.e. mayor, city council, school board. This was widely reported in 2023 and 24. So overall, there's 14 municipalities were identified in 2022 and 19 municipalities were identified in 2024. So it's slowly growing, and the more rhetoric, and you'll see they're just going to keep ramping up the rhetoric. You know, instead of make America great again, they're saying immigrants make America great and all. And I'm not against immigrants or anything like that, but there is a form of desensitizing you to mass immigration, whether it be legal or illegal. I try to just mainly focus on the illegal immigration, but all kinds of immigration mainly hurts the Black community, because not simply because it's immigrants and it's immigration, it's because of the sentiments of the immigrants that come over. Many of them, not all, but the ones that disagree with the anti-Black sentiments, they rarely speak up, right? And then also the immigration has been strategically weaponized, you know what I mean? Because all of the people that say, hey, come one, come all, bring us your sick, you're tired, or poor, and then they turn into NIMBYs, like, yeah, bring them all over here, just don't put them in my backyard. Who's gonna pick the fruit? But I've already played multiple videos of them saying, hell no, we ain't coming over here to pick fruit. And even if we do, we're only going to pick fruit temporarily, and then we're going to have babies. And there's no way in hell I want my babies picking fruit. So they're not coming over here to pick fruit. They're just seeking a better life. I can name a bunch of people in Oakland, St. Louis, Baltimore, Ohio, Appalachia that are seeking a better life. But where could they go? Shut up, figure it out. Okay. New York City in 2021, they passed a law to allow non-citizens with legal permanent residency or work authorization to vote in municipalities and local municipal elections. The law was struck down in court and is not currently in effect. So even the states and cities that don't have it, they're working towards it. And many times they're proposing it. Some have been struck down as unconstitutional. Some of the local population has resisted it, but many of the plutocrats and oligarchs are saying we don't give a flying flip, right? So while some cities expanded their eligibility, 8 states have recently placed ballot measures to explicitly ban non-citizen voting at any level, even though it is already illegal in federal and state elections. So it is illegal. However, there's always workarounds. You know what I mean? So I can go on, but why these municipalities allow it is increasing civic participation among long-term residents, ensuring parents can vote in school-related elections, reflecting diverse immigrant communities, right? So this is the whole voter ID thing. Black people don't got ID. No, it's not. They want to pass these voter ID laws because it's to favor immigrants, but they always frame it as, hey, look, we're just trying to help black people. We don't care about any other issue, but they want to secure to make sure that black people are able to vote. Every other day, they saying they got black fatigue, F them niggas, F them kids, and all this stuff. But we want to ensure that you have the right to vote. So I know a lot of black people don't have a ID. So how about we just scrap the ID and just let people vote without ID? Surely that will help black people. No, if black people allegedly don't have the ID, what will help them is helping them get an ID. Nah, you don't even need an ID. Just vote without one. You know what I mean? Every black person you know has an ID. Every person in the chat has an ID, right? But who doesn't have ID? People who came here illegally, people who are undocumented. That's in the name. They're undocumented. They don't have any legal documentation. But many of the Democrats are pushing for, who cares? All humans matter. Let them vote. Yeah, all humans should matter. Theoretically, people don't really believe that, but okay, fine. That doesn't mean that you should be entitled with privileges that are supposed to be bestowed to citizens, right? Because you can say no one's illegal on stolen land and all humans matter. Go to Mexico and say that, right? When people were deporting, when Trump was deporting people back to Mexico, guess what Mexicans did? The Mexican government, don't take my word, look it up. They delineated. They said, hold on. We're taking Mexican citizens back. We ain't taking no Africans, no Venezuelans, no Caribbeans, nobody but Mexican citizens. Oh, but we're the only ones pushing open your borders and all lives matter. And the Latino community is so together. Yeah, go try to deport some El Salvadorian people to Mexico and see how united they are. Go try to deport Trinidad to Mexico and see how friendly they will be to each other, right? So before I proceed, I also want to show y'all how even if non-citizens are not allowed to vote, they still can influence political power. So just give me one moment and I'm gonna get into this, and I can't get to the chat right now. Hopefully the chat is chatting, but let me just get into this last part before I do it, right? Representation in Congress and the Electoral College is based on population, not voters. And they include the population of every person living in the district counts towards how many seats the district gets in the U.S. House of Representatives. House seats determine electoral college votes. So more residents equals more political power, regardless of citizenship or voting eligibility. This applies to citizens, non-citizens, who some would say illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants, children, people ineligible to vote for any reason. This includes prisoners, right? All are counted in the census, right? So when they say illegal immigrants can't vote, who gives a fuck if they can't vote? They're still being placed there strategically to increase political power. This is not me making this up. This is politics 101. And I specifically said, let's lay this out in layman's term. Even if someone cannot vote, they still can increase the political power of the area they live in. The Constitution requires counting all persons, not just citizens or voters. This includes legal immigrants, illegal immigrants, and prisoners. House seats are divided based on total population. States with more people get more seats in Congress, i.e. California. This is how the Democrats like to stay in power. Now, both parties will use it to their advantage. It's just the Democrats have identified that, hey, look, this will be our strategy. A lot of times it backfires because they do this to increase their political power and think that, hey, look, we opened the border for you. You guys love us, right? And they say, hey, thanks for letting my friend come over. Thanks for letting me hermana and mi hermano come over. Now I will vote for Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump. So many of these immigrants, they crossed the border and they were blue. They were blue when they crossed the border. And as soon as you gave them, the Democrats used the plight of black people and passed legislation that said, here, we're going to help people of color and marginalized and at risk and refugees and those seeking asylum. So then once they get on their feet, with all of the NGO money and the handouts, goodies, and giveaways and guarantees that the Democrat and both political establishment give to them, they say, I will vote for Donald Trump, right? So now the Democrats are pushing the, oh my God, ICE is like the Gestapo. Look at what they're doing in the streets. So now they're pushing all of this Nazi rhetoric so that the immigrants will say, don't vote for Donald Trump, vote for the Democrats. That's what it's turning into. But districts are drawn based on the total population. Now, I can go on and on, but I believe that you guys get the gist. Now, let me bring up this video and I will react to it. This says, watch how Democrats react to questions about illegal immigrants voting. So now that I set that up for y'all, let's get into it. And let me know if you guys have any issues here in the video. Let's commence.
You see the suspicion there?
Yeah, because they're racist and xenophobic. Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? James Klug here. Welcome back to another mini episode. You often hear people saying the real reason for Biden's manufactured border crisis is to import Democrat voters. So do Democrats want illegal immigrants to vote? Today we're going to find out. Let's go talk to some people. Obviously, there's been an unprecedented number of illegal immigrants that have entered the country under Biden's administration. People are saying it's to import voters. Do you guys agree with that or no?
No, not really.
Yeah. What do you think?
No.
I do not think that's true, actually.
Yeah.
I think that illegal immigration has been a problem for years, not just under Biden, but under all previous administrations.
I haven't heard much about that. Yeah. That sounds kind of...
So clearly this video is a little bit old, but the problem persists. This is mainly about Biden since the numbers were historically high. But you have to look at many of the people that he's asking, well, why do you have to make it about? Well, just look at their complexion, look at their mentality, observe all of these things, because usually the people that are say, hey, look, let all of the people come. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. Fine, I'll bring a bunch of immigrants to your neighborhood because they're so great and they've built everything. They'll help build up your neighborhood as well. No. We don't want an influx of immigrants here. So where are they going to get dropped off at? What neighborhood or community are they going to displace, right? I think we all know the answer. So these people don't care about, millions and millions of people crossing the border because they're all NIMBYs. Their neighborhood is going to stay the same. Lily W.
Obviously, there's been an unprecedented number of illegal immigrants that have entered the country under Biden's administration. People are saying it's to import voters. Do you guys agree with that or no?
No, not really.
Yeah. What do you think?
No.
I do not think that's true, actually.
Yeah.
I think that illegal immigration has been a problem for years, not just under Biden, but under all previous administrations.
I haven't heard much about that. Yeah. That sounds kind of fake. I don't know. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of fake news media, possibly.
Possibly. I don't know.
No.
You don't.
No, I think they just came here to find a better life.
I highly doubt it.
What, importing voters?
Yeah.
No.
Reject.
See, and this is this whole thing. They just came here to find a better life. Okay, fine. I'm not trying to be insensitive, right? There's 300 plus million people in America, right? How many people are we allowed to just, or do we want to just permit here the seeking a better life, right? There's billions of people in India, billions of people in China, billions of people in Africa. All of them are seeking a better life. So we should just let everyone come because they're seeking a better life. Americans are seeking a better life, right? So if you have $2 in your pocket, you can't just say, you know what, California is too expensive. I only got $2 in my pocket. You know what? I'm gonna just wing it and go to Chicago. You know what? I'm gonna just wing it and go to Texas. I'm gonna just wing it and go to New York. People will say that's stupid, bruh. First of all, how are you gonna get to New York with $2? How are you gonna get to Chicago with $2? But somehow people, non-citizens, are able to allegedly have 50 cents in their pocket, and they're able to not only get from their home country, get to an entirely different country, then get across the other side of that country, and then been given resources that was told it was unavailable, right? You're told don't beg the government, just keep paying taxes into the government and fund the government. And then when immigrants come over, many of them, the first thing that they do, beg, ask for grants, goodies, and guarantees from the same government that they told you to not ask for anything. Stop begging the government. Okay, fine. No one should beg the government. Tell Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos that. Tell Bloomberg and Miriam Adelson and all of the billionaires and plutocrats who all they do is beg the government. They go out to mommy and daddy government and want goodies, giveaways, and guarantees. And guess what? They get it. When many of these immigrants come over here, I'm seeking asylum. There's refugee assistance programs, resettlement programs. If you were in an abusive relationship in Oakland and you want to flee gang violence from Oakland, where's the program to resettle you? No one cares. It's just pull yourself up by your bootstrap. If that's the standard we have for Americans, why can't I have that as standard for other people? Oh man, that's rough that, you were fleeing gang violence in Tijuana or Bogota, but pull yourself up by your bootstraps, stop complaining, and clean up the filth in your neighborhood. Isn't that what they would tell black people, right? You black people, you don't even want to live next to black people. You move next to a white neighborhood. But no one is saying, you Latinos don't even want to live next to Latinos. You flee to another country, right? Who is committing? If someone is seeking asylum, right, and they're being persecuted, who is persecuting them? It's people of their own race, their own ethnic group, and their own nationality. And many of them come over here and have anti-black sentiments. How the fuck are you anti-black when you're fleeing cartel violence, and all of the cartel violence, all of the people look like you? They look like your cousins. Probably some of them were your cousins. And then you come over here and you start blaming black people, right? Is they talking about U.S. imperialism? Okay, that's a bunch of white people and non-black people in charge. Remember, y'all said we were too stupid and too powerless. Fine, we have no power. So who does have the power, right? So the people who were smacking you up around in your homeland, you came over here and I will vote for Donald Trump. And then you will call us pinche mayates. But the pinche mayates is not the one smacking you up and destabilizing your homeland. How pathetic could you be?
The country under Biden's administration, people are saying it's to import voters. Do you guys agree with that or no?
No, not really.
Yeah. What do you think?
No.
I do not think that's true, actually.
Yeah.
I think that illegal immigration has been a problem for years, not just under Biden, but under all previous administrations.
I haven't heard much about that. Yeah. That sounds kind of fake. I don't know. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of fake news media, possibly.
Possibly. I don't know.
No.
You don't?
No, I think they just came here to find a better life.
I highly doubt it.
What, importing voters?
Yeah.
No.
Reject it.
I disagree with it.
No, it's kind of a loaded question.
Do you think they're trying to import voters? No.
No, over the long haul, maybe 20 years from now, it'll make a difference, but I don't think it will.
Do you agree with that or no?
Totally.
This dude is all over the place. He said, yeah, for the long haul, maybe 20 years from now it'll make a difference. But I don't think it will. So he's conceding that, yeah, this is what they're doing. They are playing the long game. This is why they try to keep saying illegal immigrants can vote. So they want you to take your eye off the fact that they still help them establish and get a grip on political power. And eventually they're going to say, oh my God, look how many babies they anchored here. And they're just productive citizens of society. So you should be okay with us giving a mass amnesty to millions and millions of people. That's where it's heading. They're not looking 5 years, 10 years down the line. They're looking at 50 years down the line, which is why you keep hearing by 2050, this nation will be majority Hispanic, right? And they keep talking about how the Hispanic community is growing, but the Hispanic community is being imported, right? They imported like 750,000 Venezuelans, right? So they bring over these people and then they curtail and basically reject many of the African and Caribbean immigrants. So this is a strategy, right? This is why people talk about the great replacement and all this stuff. So there is a bit of replacement and displacement going on. Now, they've said this out in the open and people try to frame it as if it's just some sort of racist, bigoted thing. But no, it's like Chuck Schumer, Jerry Nadler right now, because all they care about is white people. Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, we need more white babies. Well, white babies and white people are not having births at a replacement level, and other groups births are, stagnating. Let's just say that. So they bring a bunch of people over here who they prefer to come over here illegally so they can say, look, you're an undocumented, unauthorized, illegal immigrant. But hey, if you have a baby, that will anchor you here, which is hence the term anchor baby. So many people will live here 20, 30 years, have 3 kids, 5 kids. Those kids are anchored here. Those kids are citizens, and those kids are not picking fruit at all. Those kids are running for political office and trying to get more people over here, not to pick fruit, but so that the demographics favor their ethnic group. Many of them come over here, which is why both parties support open borders. Many of these people from these Latin nations, they come over here and they're Latino, Hispanic by name only. There's no race called Latino. There's no race called Hispanic. Many of them come over here with the mindset of mejoró la raza, blancamiento, meaning that they're just white passing, white adjacent, and actually white Latinos. So of course they don't care. Look at the Cubans in Miami. They're Latino. Yeah, they're white Latinos. They're Hispanic. Yeah, they're white Hispanics, right? So they don't mind opening the border for that, because that won't lead to the annihilation of their skin pigment, right? As much as they like a few token melanated people around, they only want the docile buck broken type, but they won't be able to continuously say this is a white Christian nation, right? Unless they keep producing more white people, and white people are not producing enough white people. So they're going to have the Latino Hispanics be further assimilated into whiteness. See, they were always considered white. Then they went off into this pseudo ethnic category where it's just Latino Hispanic. But now they want to say, you know what? We need to bring more of them back into the fold. So there will be the Latino Hispanic category, which is not a race. And then the other hardliners, they're going to have to draw a line in the sand and join whiteness, right? Just like Irish people. Irish people weren't white until they were. They had to work, get hazed, and assimilated and adopt the mindset of being white. Irish people weren't considered white. Greek people weren't considered white, but now they are, to help buffer the numbers, to say that this is a white Christian nation. We're the majority, but it's all manufactured, right? They'll take anyone and say, yeah, well, okay, you're white. North Africans, you see how they don't try to call them Africans, but they're literally African? No, they're not North African. They're Middle Eastern, right? And then from there, they're Arab, they're Muslim. There's no race called Middle Eastern. There's no race called North African. There's no race called Muslim. There's no race called Arab, which is why when they come over here, Palestinians, legally, racially, socially classified as white. Syrians, like Jillian Michaels, white. Armenians, white. Israelis, white. But, you know, this isn't a news flash, but for some it is. Let's get back into it. And salute to the hardest working mod on YouTube, Vibrant Low, and Roger Meadows coming through. I'm surprised to see you here this early, Roger Meadows, coming through in building. Let's get back into it.
Do you guys agree with that or no?
No, not really.
Yeah. What do you think?
No.
No.
I do not think that's true, actually.
Yeah.
I think that illegal immigration has been a problem for years, not just under Biden, but under all previous administrations.
I haven't heard much about that. Yeah. That sounds kind of fake. I don't know. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of fake news media, possibly.
Possibly. I don't know.
No.
You don't.
No, I think they just came here to find a better life.
I highly doubt it.
What, importing voters?
Yeah.
No. Reject it.
I disagree with it.
No, it's kind of a loaded question.
Right.
So,
Do you think they're trying to import voters? No.
no, over the long haul, maybe 20 years from now, it'll make a difference, but I don't think it will.
Do you agree with that or no?
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's true that he is trying to get new voters.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's a little bit suspicious that we're bringing people over when there's veterans starving on the streets.
Yes.
To import voters, yeah.
Finally, a lady with some sense. She said, why are we bringing over new voters and millions of people when there's veterans on the street? Imagine you're sitting there, your kid is over there starving. Mommy, daddy, I want some food. Don't worry, little Johnny, little Bobby, little Mary Sue. I'm going to give you some food after I go feed the neighbor's kid. But oh, don't worry. I'm going to feed you, little Johnny. But hold on. Before that, I have to go to a different city. I'm in Oakland, but I have to drive to San Francisco to go feed another kid because they're hungry too. Huh? That's pretty much what they tell you, right? You're over here struggling, but hey, there's an immigrant from a third world country who's seeking a better life. So put your differences to the side, put your issues to the side and help them. Huh? Make that make sense. You have a veteran over here who's probably having his legs amputated from war, but hey, we have to bring in more immigrants. Surely that will help the veteran. They always talk about this. This is what I call immigrant exceptionalism, right? We need more immigrants. Otherwise, the prices are going to be sky high. Well, Biden, the records were sky high when Biden was here and the prices didn't go down. Interest rates didn't go down. Rent didn't go down. Housing prices went up. Gas went up. So how does that work? Biden let in a record number of immigrants. And the housing went up, gas went up, groceries went up. And the solution is, yeah, we let in 20 plus million, and that's the low end. Yeah, we let in 20 plus million people and your gas went up. But the way to get your gas prices to go in is to let in 30 million more. Surely that will help you, right? Your school is failing. The kids can barely read in English. So you know how we'll help the kids who can barely read in English? We'll bring in a bunch of Spanish and Mandarin speaking kids so your kids can learn Spanish. Surely that will help them learn English, right? None of this shit makes any sense, but it makes sense to the liberal lunatics and some of these MAGA morons who both of them champion this stuff. Some champion it because it's like, fine, let them displace the blacks. Who cares, if they speak a different language, then they want to turn around and say, why was Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl? He was at the Super Bowl because they're pandering towards the community that you said was the model minority and worked so harder, right? So if you said this group is the model minority and this is a capitalist nation and, they're such a growing political entity, why wouldn't the establishment pander towards them, right? Also, there's no race called Hispanic. What race is Bad Bunny, right? Bad Bunny is Latino. Yeah, but that's not a race, right? Race is a social construct. So is Latino. There's literally a book called Making Hispanics. They made the social construct. They're literally making social constructs in front of your face. In 2030, there will be another social construct. It's called MENA, Middle Eastern North African, which will be on the census in 2030, right? So race is a social construct, ethnicity is a social construct, and guess what? Religion is a social construct, but people all adhere to it. They use nationality when they think it benefits them, race when it benefits them, ethnicity when it benefits them. And then when you start asking someone, hey, I just want to be historically accurate, right? What race is this person? Well, why do you have to make it about race? Well, you always make things about race. Talk about black on black crime, black fatigue, blacks this, black, blackity, black, niggas. You always make it about race. Fine. Let me make it about race just this one time. What race is Bad Bunny? Nobody thinks Bad Bunny is Asian. Nobody thinks Bad Bunny is black. So what race is he? Let's commence.
No,
You don't.
no. I think they just came here to find a better life.
I highly doubt it.
What, importing voters?
Yeah.
No.
Reject it.
I disagree with it.
No, it's kind of a loaded question.
Right.
So,
Do you think they're trying to import voters? No.
no, over the long haul, maybe 20 years from now, it'll make a difference, but I don't think it will.
Do you agree with that or no?
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's true that he is trying to get new voters.
No, I agree. It's a little bit suspicious that we're bringing people over when there's veterans starving on the streets.
Yes.
To import voters, yeah. Do you mind if I ask, why do you guys agree with that? We even had Elon Musk tweeting the other day saying how, that's absolutely what they're doing.
I don't trust this administration.
Would you be against the idea of illegal immigrants voting?
No, they're here. I mean,
And it looks like we've been joined by an illustrious guest, Sincere Saida, in building. Hit your boy with a like and drop a chat. Let's get back into it. So now he's asking them, would you be okay with illegal immigrants voting?
they got a job. They're important.
If you live here, you have a right to vote.
Illegal immigrants can't vote. They're
Yeah,
not
I think they should be
citizens
citizens. Sure.
to vote. Yeah.
Would you have a problem if they were allowed to vote?
No, never.
She said no, never. So she doesn't care. So what is the point of having laws? This is a nation of laws, but the laws don't apply to illegal immigrants. Remember when they was forcing everyone to get that C-19 Jabberwocky? I never got that, but I have to say it a certain way. So, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That C-19 Jabberwocky. In New York, the mayor, Bill de Blasio, was saying, hey, if you get the jab, you can get a burger and fries. Huh? I didn't want that flat, nasty looking burger and those soggy fries. So I'm supposed to put my health at risk to take a jab. But guess what? When at that time, when that Jabberwocky, when they were forcing that on the citizens saying, hey, if you want to go out, you need to hold. Now people was walking around with cancer, with lupus, all sorts of STDs. They don't have to wear that on their sleeve. But if you had the jab, you had to wear it like a badge of honor. You know how people wear those I voted stickers? I will vote for Donald Trump. People wearing those stickers. You had to wear a sticker that said, hey, I took a Jabberwocky. No, I didn't take that jab. At people's jobs, they were saying, hey, if you take the jab, we'll enter you into a contest to win $1,000 or however much money, but only if you took the Jabberwocky. I mean, it was wild, but guess who didn't have to take it? People who was crossing the border, and they say, hey, well, they're non-citizens, you know, they're not a subject of the US government, so they can just waltz right in. So this is what I call the immigrant privilege and immigrant exceptionalism, them crossing the border. Hey, doesn't matter if they took the jab, but they don't give a damn about the black community. But suddenly when the C-19 was running rampant, they're like, hey, black community, we love y'all, so won't y'all take this Jabberwocky? Huh? They don't want to do anything about diabetes. They don't want to do anything about various forms of cancer. But suddenly they love the black community so much to like try to, you know, passively aggressively push a jab on them. Nah, I'm cool. And so, like I'm saying, what is the point of being a citizen when any average Joe Schmo can just cross the border and they have the same rights and privileges as you? They didn't fight, bleed, or die for the country, but they can come over here seeking a better life and be entitled to the same privileges and benefits as you. I don't really get that. If you're married to a person and there's a dude who say, I'm a philanthropist, right? I should be entitled to make love to your wife. I mean, all human beings matter, and I'm just seeking a better human experience, right? Why are you being stingy with your wife? You know what I mean? Right? Like, what's the point of being married? You're supposed to have certain access, certain privileges that other people don't have access to, you know, secrecies and intimacies that other people are not privy to. That's the point of marriage and the sacred exchange and stuff. This is supposed to be the whole point of nationality and citizenship, right? Anybody could just walk up and then, you know, they'll become on the equal footing as a citizen. It's like, so what does being a citizen even mean? Let's get back into it.
Voters reject it.
I disagree with it.
No, it's kind of a loaded question.
Right.
So,
Do you think they're trying to import voters? No.
no,
And let me address this. So this person says clowns deleting comments, commie clowns who don't believe in, first of all, you can't even say free speech. So if you're going to say free speech, at least spell it right. And this is usually a pathetic person. Bruh, you're not Superman. Like, why is it always these faceless accounts that always got like some slick to say? No one is obligated to just allow you to post anything. First of all, I didn't even see anything that you said, but if the mods got one of your buffoonish and idiotic comments out of here, that's just on you. You say free speech, but it's not freedom of consequence. So if you say something that's moronic and imbecilic, then somebody might delete the comment. So I don't mind having trolls, contrarian views, but you got to come in respectful. You calling people clowns and commies, that's not respectful. You have a clownish photo. You won't even show your face. No one knows who you are. You have a clownish photo, a clownish name, Red Horseman 66. This sounds like a Bang Bros name. Like, come on, bro, get it together. Now, if you gonna come and try to challenge me or anyone in the chat, bring some level of sophistication and scholarship. This is not scholarly. This is quite pathetic. So yeah, any other foolish comments like this, I'm gonna get you out of here. Not because I'm against freedom of speech. It's just I don't got time for idiots. Let's get back into it.
over the long haul, maybe 20 years from now, it'll make a difference, but I don't think it will.
Do you agree with that or no?
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's true that he is trying to get new voters.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's a little bit suspicious that we're bringing people over when there's veterans starving on the streets.
Yes.
To import voters, yeah. Do you mind if I ask, why do you guys agree with that? We even had Elon Musk tweeting the other day saying how, that's absolutely what they're doing.
I don't trust this administration.
Would you be against the idea of illegal immigrants voting?
No, they're here. I mean, they got a job.
Yeah.
They're important.
If you live here, you have a right to vote.
Illegal immigrants can't vote. They're
Yeah,
not
I think they should be
citizens
citizens. Sure.
to vote. Yeah.
Would you have a problem if they were allowed to vote?
No, never. Everyone should have freedom of speech.
So you don't think that they're bringing them into as voters, but you wouldn't have a problem.
Oh, salute to FBA Strong coming in strong. See, FBA Strong, I'm gonna go on a limb and assume that's you and your profile pic, right? See, we don't mind showing our faces, and even if at least show an AI version of your face. Like, people too afraid to show their face, and then they want to kind of challenge people. It's like, come on, bruh. But FBA Strong says, salute. I don't put those artificial pharmaceuticals, those jibby jabs in my body. As one example, I don't eat canned foods, processed foods since early in my life. Never had red meat. Dang, bro. FBA Strong, I got to have you on one of these panels. I want to do a panel where it's like a health summit where we talk about, solutions and ways we can help each other have better health outcomes. But yeah, bro, you were extremely disciplined, bro. Never had red meat. What you eating off of? You eating plant protein? Are you vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian? Let us know in the chat, and salute FBA Strong. And Sincere says, citizen equals a person who belongs to a particular country, state, or commonwealth by birth or naturalization, and has legally recognized rights and duties as a member of that entity, right? So as a citizen, you're supposed to have a certain duty and what they would say, like the social contract, right? That you're supposed to adhere to because you're bought in to the society. When someone comes over here seeking a better life, many of them are not bought into the society. I'm not saying all, I'm just saying a significant amount. They're not bought in. They're only coming over here to reap the benefits. And many of them come over here saying, I don't even plan to stay. So you're not really bought in. Imagine you on a team, you on the Lakers, and somebody, they want to make the Lakers team, but they don't really plan on staying on the Lakers because they want to retire a Warrior. So you're not truly bought into the Lakers. It's 1 foot in and 1 foot out. That's how many of these people are. They see the U.S. as an extraction hub, an extraction for currency and cultural commerce. Here, let me take some of the American flavor, mainly foundational Black American flavor, swag, culture, plight, and their prominence, right? We'll take from that and then we'll extract it and give it to some other group and mask it under some umbrella term. Marginalized groups, people of color, underserved groups, disenfranchised groups, right? They try to use all these umbrella terms to just culturally and ethnically erase us. And many of our elders, not our elders, many of the elders in our communities, the Sambo sellouts and tethers, they have went along with it. But there's a new generation, a rising generation that's saying, this is unacceptable, it's detestable and unacceptable. So they doing and saying something about it.
They're here. I mean, they got a job.
Yeah.
They're important.
If you live here, you have a right to vote.
Illegal
Yeah, I
immigrants
think-
can't vote. They're
Yeah,
not
I think they should be
citizens
citizens. Sure.
to vote. Yeah.
Would you have a problem if they were allowed to vote?
No, never. Everyone should have freedom of speech.
So you don't think that they're bringing them into as voters?
She said everyone should have the freedom of speech. The freedom of speech doesn't mean that, hey, you're a non-citizen, so you should be able to vote just so that you have freedom of speech. That's not what it was intended to mean when they said everyone should have the freedom of speech. If that's the case, then let Vladimir Putin come over here. Let him come over here as a tourist and say, hey, well, everyone should have the freedom of speech. You can't discriminate against Vladimir Putin, right? Let Bibi Netanyahu vote, right? You can't discriminate against. It's like, no, like Sincere said, what is the point of being a citizen if any average Joe or Jane Schmo could just waltz up, cross the border illegally, overstay a visa, crawl through some backwood tunnel and say, yep, I have the same privileges as you because there's no voter ID law, you know what I mean? And you're just supposed to sit back. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, so let all undocumented immigrants vote.
Yeah, I think they should be citizens. Sure.
To vote. Yeah.
Would you have a problem if they were allowed to vote?
No, never. Everyone should have freedom of speech.
So you don't think that they're bringing them into as voters, but you wouldn't have a problem with illegal immigrants voting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I would not want them to vote. No.
Okay. You don't want illegal immigrants to vote. What about you?
I agree. Yeah, they're not citizens.
Yeah, I think you should be a citizen of the United States.
Right.
That's not a simple question.
You have a problem with them voting in local elections, is that correct?
I don't have a problem with a non-citizen that is living in the country legally and paying taxes and voting
illegally?
in local elections. But if you are entered the country illegally, then you shouldn't be able to vote. And
But they're still doing it.
I don't know.
All right, 335 Klug. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back in the video.
I'm curious, what is your take? Why are you asking these questions, or what are you trying to?
I'm getting your take on that because there's San Francisco, there's Oakland, there's Washington D.C. We have cities in Vermont and Maryland, even Santa Ana actually voted for that, and they're voting on allowing illegal immigrants to vote. All of those cities.
So this is what they mean. You can be a non-citizen, but you can have legal status, or they can say that you have a permanent resident status, which is why people like Nicki, the bimbo Barbie Minaj, isn't a citizen. Now, I know she's been doing a lot of tap dancing and been spreading cheeks for buttermilk biscuit crumbs. So she's working on getting her citizenship, but people like Nicki Minaj are not citizens, but they are able to legally be here from work visas, or somehow they have permanent residency based on certain cities and municipalities. And this is also what Biden did and what Trump is trying to overdo. So they did TPS, which stands for temporary protected status. So Biden gave it to like 350,000 plus Haitians, I believe 750,000 plus Venezuelans. And the temporary protected status means you're not a citizen. However, you can be here and legally work. They'll give you documentation that allows you to legally work and function as a citizen so that they can collect taxes, but also you're not a citizen. So things like voting and privileges, what should be for citizens, you're not supposed to be entitled to, but there's always workarounds, right? They say non-citizens are not supposed to be entitled to government assistance, but then that's why you have places like California and other places where they say here the government assistance is need based, not immigration status based. So a lot of times they don't even ask your immigration status. They just look like, oh, are you legally permitted to be here? So you're legally permitted to be here from temporary protected status, and you're poor, and we can't discriminate against immigrants who are poor. So it turns into that, right? And then many of them, because they're incentivized to have a baby, first thing they get here, many of them have really small babies, and that's going to play on people's heartstrings. We really have to help them because look at, little Maria who crossed the border, and it's like nobody is saying like, Maria, where's your baby daddy at? Like, you got 2-3 kids, you drug a little baby across the border, and you was pregnant, and you popped out a baby. It's like, but nobody is saying, little Maria, why you having all them babies out of wedlock? No one cares because they see those babies as a tool. They see there's a means to an end with those babies, right? But when it comes to foundational Black American babies, they're like, yeah, here, let's try to promote abortion and Planned Parenthood. Why isn't there a Planned Parenthood set up at the border, right? Because those women crossing the border are poor. Surely they can't afford to have a kid. They're too poor to have a kid, which is why they're fleeing and saying, oh my God, help me, right? They're too poor, right? Where the hell are their baby daddies, their baby fathers? Nowhere in sight. But the U.S. says, hey, don't worry, come over here and pop out the babies so they can become citizens, and, you can be our nanny. Because you're doing the job that no American will want to do. No American will fold sheets. No American will pick fruit. No American will do construction. It's like, come on now, just call it what it is. You want to have a more exploitable labor, more docile labor, more dependent and desperate labor. Just call it what it is. And you don't want to pay American wages. But when those people come over here and they have kids, they're not having those kids to continuously be paid indentured servant wages.
Has been a problem for you.
I think that they're bringing them in to as voters, but you wouldn't have a problem with illegal immigrants voting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I would not want them to vote. No.
Okay. You don't want illegal immigrants to vote. What about you?
I agree. Yeah, they're not citizens.
Yeah, I think you should be a citizen of the United States to
Right.
vote.
That's not a simple question.
Do you have a problem with them voting in local elections? Is that correct?
I don't have a problem with a non-citizen that is living in the country legally and paying taxes and voting in local elections. But if you are entered the country illegally, then you shouldn't be able to vote. And
But they're still doing it.
I don't know.
All right, 335 Klug. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back in the video.
I'm curious, what is your take? Why are you asking these questions, or what are you trying to?
I'm getting your take on that because there's San Francisco, there's Oakland, there's Washington D.C. We have cities in Vermont and Maryland, even Santa Ana actually voted for that, and they're voting on allowing illegal immigrants to vote. All of those cities allow illegal immigrants to vote. Did you guys know that or no?
No, and that makes me sick.
I've heard rumors of it, but I don't know if it's fact or fiction. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a fact for sure.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
No, there's not.
You don't think so?
Are you joking?
San Francisco?
You cannot vote if you are not.
Oakland?
You cannot vote if
Washington,
you
D.C.?
are- No.
It's being pushed across the country. So you would see that as a good thing, allowing illegal immigrants to vote in American elections?
Yes, if they do their research and they know what they're talking about, I believe it's a good thing.
Is it local elections?
Maybe city elections, very important as well, though. Yes, that's city elections.
Okay, so that.
I'm willing to look that up because I've never heard that.
So the other lady said illegal immigrants should be able to vote if they do their research and know what they're talking about. Who gets to determine that, right? So if illegal immigrants are dumb and have low IQ, then they shouldn't vote. But if they're smart and know what they're talking about, then they should vote. Okay. All the dumb illegal immigrants to the front, all the smart ones to the back. Huh? Okay. Like these model minorities are not really thinking this stuff through. And hear this woman saying, no, it's not happening. And like I've already laid out, them voting is just only one aspect. Them dropping and flooding certain neighborhoods, predominantly black neighborhoods, so they flip and displace the neighborhood with millions is what they brought in and disperse tens of thousands of undocumented immigrants into black neighborhoods, not because they care about black people, because they were trying to do that to strategize, maximize political power for them and weaken political leverage and power for black people, while at the same time saying you're the backbone. We're displacing you and you're the backbone.
Yes, if they do their research and they know what they're talking about, I believe it's a good thing.
Is it local elections?
Maybe city elections, very important as well, though. Yes, that's city
Okay.
elections.
Okay, so that.
I'm willing to look that up because I've never heard that.
Yeah,
and
there are not a lot of federal elections, but I guess cities probably could make rules
Can
that
they?
allow them.
legally.
I suppose that cities could.
I don't have a problem with that if they want it.
Okay, so you don't have a problem if they want it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem if they want it.
Okay. So you're saying like maybe if cities want to have, not just Americans voting in their elections, they can do what they want.
Correct.
You know something? That's why you want to live in Dayton, Ohio.
Good call.
Sorry, I really don't want to speak on this. I'm going to keep walking. You can stay if you want. But
I'm gonna-
I'm going to choose not to answer because it seems like you have an agenda with why you're asking these questions.
That's the question.
Yeah, no, I'm going to opt out, but
What's the difference between supporting local elections and illegals voting in local elections versus state or federal?
They say all elections are local. So that's
Local
what
are pretty important elections, right?
impacts. That's what impacts the local. Your
something change, right?
your
There's
sphere of
something change.
influence. Yeah, we're like the beginning of that. That's the core center, right?
Clarify for me, what does a non-citizen mean? I would like to know exactly,
Totally.
not the headline, but what does that mean? Like,
What is a non-citizen? Yeah.
what qualifies? How do you define that?
So different states have.
So Sincere says, okay, if we allow legal non-citizens to vote, then we need proper representation as an ethnic group not associated with Africa. I think you meant primarily. Yeah, I concur with this. The only reason why they try to overly Africanize us is to try to make us comparable with immigrants so that they can get that lie off. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. No, there's a group who's not immigrants. Foundational Black American freedmen, which is why there's this fixation to try to say, no, y'all are really from Africa. And they try to make you this generic African from a distant land and country that didn't even exist when your family were building here, right? It's alleged that the so-called natives immigrated, there's that word, immigrated from somewhere in Siberia is what's alleged, right? It's alleged that they were Asiatic. When did they stop being Asiatic? They don't keep trying to say, y'all really is Asian. No, they don't say that. They say they're indigenous, but there's no race called indigenous. There's no race called native, and there's no race called Native American. So what race are they? Yeah, some of them were Asiatic. Some of them would be part of the Negroid race. But now you look at many of the so-called natives, they look like Elizabeth Warren. The $5 Indians, they look like Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake. Do you think that those are the indigenous people, right? Many of them are European. That's where they're from, but they're not calling themselves European, right? There's a reason for that. White, right? They don't say white European. They don't say white or European Caucasian, right? So they have these specific terms that are supposed to be euphemisms for white and European without saying the word. So if it's supposed to be alleged and what's understood need not be explained, right? If Black is supposed to automatically be associated with some level of African descended people, why do we even have to call ourselves African? A place that we don't know anything about. People, Israelis or North African, they're more African than me, right? You can trace your cousin here. You can trace your grandpa here, your daddy's grandpa here, his daddy here, and then his daddy here. You don't got no long distance cousins in Africa. You know your cousins in St. Louis. You know your cousins in Alabama. You know your cousins in New York. You know your cousins in California. You know your cousins in Oklahoma. You don't know your alleged cousins in Sudan. Who are your alleged cousins in Senegal, right? We're brothers. We all one. How? Nigga, I don't know you like that. I mean, salute to you. I don't wish no harm on you, but to try to act as we're all just one big global Negro is one of the most pathetic rationales that people could put forward. Because when you look on the continent of Africa, 54 countries, 3,000 different tribes, 2,000 different dialects. Does that sound unified to you? So y'all are the ones who need to work on being unified right now. Iran, the Middle East, right, is being bombed. Where are the other Muslim Arab nations to come to their defense? Where's Egypt? Where's Jordan? Where's Dubai, UAE? They're all funking with each other, being buck broken for the Western powers, but they're all African. They're all Muslim and Arab and supposed to stick together. When they come over here, they want to say, oh, they have a superior culture. You Blacks don't stick together like them. What Muslims are sticking together while Israel is presiding over a disgusting genocide over the Gazan people? Don't worry, I'll wait. Was it a South African Black nation who had to bring them to the UN? The UN, who was the lapdog of the US, said it's a plausible genocide. It's either a genocide or it's not. Imagine someone is getting sexually assaulted and they say that's a plausible RAPE. No, you know what it was. Why are you adding qualifying terms like plausible, right? So this is what people are fighting for: intellectual, cultural, ethnic specificity and sovereignty, just like all these other groups do. But notice how all of these entities, both parties, they won't mind funding something that's African, right? African studies, African this. they'll donate or invest millions and millions to do Egyptology. But as soon as you start talking about anthropology and archaeology, that puts some Black Americans, some Negroes here as the original inhabitants, Aboriginal, Indigenous. As soon as you start finding stuff, no. Well, they really wasn't Black, right? No, they wasn't really Negro. Then it starts turning into that. So when it's convenient for them, they'll talk about the one drop rule, right? Y'all can't say Kamala Harris ain't Black. The one drop rule. Mariah Carey is Black. One drop rule. Steph Curry, one drop. Anybody, one drop, right? Then when they find Negroids here on this land, like Lucia woman and other people, no, they really wasn't. They weren't African and they weren't Black. You know what I mean? Huh? All of these terms are modern, right? Even the term Africa, right? They want you to fixate on that term, but like who came up? That's a modern term, right? Who came up with the term Africa? I don't know. I'm just supposed to go with it. Okay, fine. What was Africa called before it was Africa? The so-called Native Americans. We're Native Americans. Okay, what did they call themselves before that? They resisted and rejected being called American. The reservations were supposed to be sovereign nations, separate and apart from America. So what were those nations called, right? Was it Turtle Island? What was it called? So if you're a native Turtle Islander, how is that American again? I mean, which one is it? You know what I mean? But all this stuff is supposed to confuse you, and you're not supposed to ask. You're just supposed to say, this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, and we're all immigrants. No, we're not all immigrants. And the nation wasn't built by immigrants. It was built so that immigrants can come enjoy the fruits of the free labor and the colonial settlers who built this thing. That's what it was built for. I mean, that's who it was built by. And it was built for other people to come, but not just flood in illegally, but to just try to say your contribution means creation. Yeah, that's a bit too far.
Like the beginning of that, that's the core center, right?
Clarify for me, what does a non-citizen mean? I would like to know exactly, not the headline, but what does that mean? Like,
What is a non-citizen?
what qualifies? How do you define that?
So different states have different degrees of which a non-citizen is. Some areas allow illegals to vote. Some areas allow non-citizens but green card holders to vote. But all you have to do is give those illegals green cards, and now they can vote. So it's not that big of a
But
jump.
it's not that easy to get a green card. It's not like just okay, we're going to be handing out green cards, you know.
Well, the Biden administration's pushing to hand out green cards right now.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so? No. Okay, so that's not happening either.
I don't know.
And once again, these are the high IQs. He did bring up a report, and this was in 2024. Biden waives amnesty for 1 million illegal spouses of U.S. citizens, right? So, yeah, just because something doesn't pass doesn't mean that they're not pushing for it, right? So by Trump doing all of this stuff with the ICE, this is why they keep framing ICE as the Gestapo and the Nazi, which no, it should be extremely offensive to Jewish people, just like it's extremely offensive to me and my ancestors and forefathers to keep bringing up Jim Crow. This is like Jim Crow. No, it's not like Jim Crow. Show me one immigrant that's being lynched, right? There were a bunch of establishments that said no niggers allowed. Show me the establishments that say no immigrants allowed. I've seen multiple establishments that say I stand with immigrants. Immigrants make America better. I've seen much signage and apparel saying that. So where is this Jim Crow stuff that's going on? What dogs are being sicked on these immigrants? What water hoses are being sicked on these immigrants, right? The only thing they're saying, hey, look, you came here illegally. You got to go back home. No, that's like Jim Crow. Lynch me now, huh? You were flying the flag of this country. You said that it was so great, that the culture was so superior to America.
And we say, okay, cool. We're going to send you back to your homeland with the superior culture, superior food. No, don't send me back. Why? It's your homeland. You hate it that much? Okay.
If they live there and they pay taxes and they use they're working there, I think they deserve to vote.
And then, so if that's the case for that argument, why a different argument for a federal election? They live in the United States. If you're saying that they pay taxes in the United States, they work in the United States, why not the federal election? What's the difference between those two arguments, would you say?
There really isn't.
So when it comes to the suspicion that Biden has opened the border to import voters, do you see how that stance of supporting the idea of illegal immigrants voting kind of confirms that suspicion?
I'm so lost. I'm the least political person I think you'll ever meet.
Okay. So when it comes down to it, you're okay with illegal immigrants voting in American elections?
So she is one of the model minorities. You don't have to be a super political person to figure this out, right? So he's just asking her a simple question, and I'm just so lost. What are you lost about? The reason why these people are lost is because they don't care. These people are immigrant first. So once they see all of this immigrant exceptionalism, they like, hey, look, more of my family could come over and fine. Look, I'm not against immigrants or immigration, right? I think some of the best people in this country probably are immigrants and come from an immigrant background. But isolating some individuals to say, hey, look at this great immigrant individual or immigrant community or collective, that doesn't mean that the country should just disregard its border policy and laws and just let anyone come in. When she just said is that, hey, they're just seeking a better life, right? And fine. Let's just say that I am open borders, right? Why would I champion the discriminatory open borders that we have now, which only mainly predominantly favors Latinos and some Asians? Fine, y'all want to open the borders? Okay, you've convinced me. I'm an open borders acolyte and advocate, right? Shouldn't it be equal, right? They say that we're allegedly only 13% of the population. So when these melanated immigrants come over, they're going to be dumped in our neighborhoods and counted at us, right? If we're only allegedly 13%, it would be fair to at least have at bare minimum 13% of melanated immigrants coming in. No, but instead they had 6% combined African and Caribbean immigrants. Meanwhile, it was close to 80% Latino. And every day you hear, oh my God, the Latino community is just growing so fast. Of course they're growing so fast. You let 750,000 Venezuelans in. The community is growing so fast. And the thing is, when they let them over here and they give them temporary protected status, that means that you're not a citizen, but you're allowed to operate here as if you're a citizen. But guess who will be a citizen? Those babies that they have. Hence the term anchor baby. That's the first order of business. Chuck Schumer and Jerry Nadler talked about this. He talked about the benefits of immigrants having babies. Right. So this is why they keep saying, oh, look, 60% of the births in the countries are Hispanic. Right. But which Hispanics are they talking about? It's just an umbrella term. Was it Venezuelans? Oh, you're not supposed to care because it was Hispanics. Was it a combination of Brazilians and Mexicans? Oh, who cares? They're just Hispanic. And that's what they've convinced you, that all Hispanic people are just together and united as one. Did you know there's two of the largest ethnic groups in America? Do you know who those groups are? Germanic people, the real Germanic people, and foundational Black American freedmen, the descendants of the emancipated, of the formerly enslaved chattel property, right? We are the two biggest ethnic groups, which is why the census tries to collapse it into a broader racial pseudo ethnic group. If you compare foundational Black Americans to Mexicans, it's more of us than Mexicans. Compare us to Venezuelans, more of us than Venezuelans, more of us than Bolivians, more of us than Hondurans, more of us than El Salvadorians, more of us than this, and that group. But when you collapse all these groups into one big Hispanic global burrito umbrella, then, oh, look, the Latinos are a larger group that we have to pander to. You're only 13% of the population, right? There's only 10% of the foundational Black American freedmen population that are immigrants. That means 90% of us don't have an immigrant background. So we still are the second largest ethnic group if we're counting ethnic groups to stand alone. But this is why they try to collapse it. And if you talk to Mexicans and say, hey, you're no different than an El Salvadorian, tell an El Salvadorian they're no different than a Puerto Rican, and tell a Puerto Rican that they're no different than a person from the DR. And then this will really get you if you tell someone from the DR that they're no different than a Haitian. Y'all all are one big global Latino Hispanic, right? And then they'll all proceed to tell you how different they are. But then they also will pivot and say that you're the same as someone from Senegal, even though you've never been and you have a completely different culture. You're the same as someone from Jamaica, Haiti, Sudan, Bahrain. You're all just the same because of melanin, right? But then they're not the same, even though they all speak Spanish. So it's pretty heavy, you know what I mean? But yeah, so the whole Hispanic Latino is just a buffer group to say that, hey, we're going to displace the Blacks, and then, hey, America can be racist. Look how well the white Hispanics are doing. Because how many times do I have to remind you? There's no race called Hispanic. There's no race called Latino. Most of them identify as racially white. And the ones that are not, they want to get closer to being white. Hence the term mejorada la raza. Blanca miento, lighten, brighten, and whiten the race.
I'm so lost. I'm the least political person I think you'll ever meet.
Okay. Okay. So to import voters.
They're working there. I think they deserve to vote.
And then, so if that's the case for that argument, why a different argument for a federal election? They live in the United States. If you're saying that they pay taxes in the United States, they work in the United States, why not the federal election? You know, what's the difference between those two arguments, would you say?
There really isn't.
So when it comes to the suspicion that Biden has opened the border to import voters, do you see how that stance of supporting the idea of illegal immigrants voting kind of confirms that suspicion?
I'm so lost. I'm the least political person I think you'll ever meet.
Okay. Okay. So when it comes down to it, you're okay with illegal immigrants voting in American elections?
Yes.
Why do you say so?
There's and a lot of definitions of undocumented.
So it's up for debate, you would say?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you see why people are suspicious about mass migration and, you know, people maybe wanting to allow illegal immigrants to vote? Do you see the suspicion there?
Yeah, because they're racist and xenophobic. Yeah.
Good response. Thank you. Now, when it comes to presidential election, actually, illegal immigrants in the United States are.
And see, that's the pathetic thing. The dude said, if someone is concerned about illegal immigration or illegal immigrants voting, yeah, man, they're racist and xenophobic. So these dudes said that. Does this dude look like he has a bunch of illegal immigrants in his neighborhood? It's always these lefty liberal lunatics and some of the MAGA morons, right, who's always calling things racist and xenophobic as it pertains to immigration. When they're going around championing and cheering on people who call black people niggers, it's just a word. Get over it, right? But here, if you even call an immigrant, an undocumented immigrant, an illegal alien, which is a legal term, it's not my term. I didn't come up with that term. If you call them that, then suddenly you are a bigoted xenophobe And how dare you talk about immigrants like that, right? But this dude doesn't want them in their neighborhood. All of these people, like, have you seen those city council meetings where they want all these books banned and all this other type of stuff? You think these private schools would be okay if there's just an influx of non-English speaking students coming there? They don't care if it happens to the public system, right? Not in my backyard. So these types of people are really pathetic, and they're what's wrong with the country. And these are the alleged high IQs, right? But they're too busy blaming George Floyd and BLM for all their problems, right? George Floyd has been dead for how long? You can't keep blaming him for everything. And if you're smarter, right, could you tell? I mean, a lot of incompetence is rampant in these videos. Let's see what the portly pompous dude has to say one more again.
Yes.
Why do you say so?
There's a lot of definitions of undocumented.
So it's up for debate, you would say?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you see why people are suspicious about mass migration and, people maybe wanting to allow illegal immigrants to vote? Do you see the suspicion there?
Yeah, because they're racist and xenophobic. Yeah.
Good response. Thank you. Now, when it comes to presidential election, actually, illegal immigrants in the United States are included in the census. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Yes.
But the census dictates, representatives, how many representatives a state has in the House of Representatives, also the Electoral College. So that would have an impact on federal elections. Do you guys have a problem with illegal immigrants being included in the census?
I don't have a problem with the illegal immigrants being in the states.
So you don't have a problem with them being included in the census?
In the census, no.
So
you're making
do you
an
see
assumption there that I would have to fact check that illegal immigrants, I know that they are counted in the census,
yes,
but I don't know if they're counted in the census with regard to determining geographic or geopolitical boundaries.
Why do you say that?
I need to see evidence.
Well, that's what the census dictates, and it doesn't check for American citizenship. Do you support that though? Do you support illegal immigrants being counted in the census?
No, not in terms of how many seats in the House you get. No.
I think there's two issues. One is, should the census count everybody? Yes. And the second one is, should non-citizens dictate how much representation there is in the federal government? I would say no.
Are you voting for Trump or Biden?
I'm voting for Biden.
Trump or Biden this year? Who are you voting for?
Oh, hell no, Trump. Oh, hell no. I don't love Biden, but hell no to the Trump.
Okay.
Hell no.
Thank you. All right, everyone. We learned a lot today. It's not happening, but if it was, it'd probably be.
Okay, so there you have it. That was the Democrats reacting to. And hold on, actually, let me do one more thing before hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me pull that screen right back up. I want to see some of the comments. So let me see if y'all can see some of the comments. Okay, so let's see what the people have to say. If it wasn't about importing Democrat voters, it was about counting people living there in the United States for the next census in 2030. The census doesn't differentiate between citizen and non-citizen. It only counts total number of people. That's what I covered earlier in the show. Somebody says, how many people who think open border is okay leave their house unlocked when they are not home, leave the car unlocked, key in the ignition, will let a stranger manage their bank account, will let a stranger into their house to make their life decisions? Probably not many, but they see no harm or risk in open borders. Go figure. It's not just about election for public office. It is policies, funding, defense, currency, all the things the government does, not just the politicians. There's a difference between Democrat voters and Democrat politicians. If people who are non-citizens can vote, then I claim a right as a non-congresswoman to vote in the legislature. I mean, that's actually a pretty astute point, right? Let us vote in, let me vote on the Tesla board or the Amazon advisory board. Let me vote in Congress, right? Since it shouldn't matter, right? My ancestors died for me to have the right to vote. So yeah, let me vote in Congress, right? So we can avoid all of these idiotic government shutdowns. It is sad that this question is even asked. It is even more sad that so many people don't have a problem with illegal immigrants voting in elections. I would concur. Researchers and policy centers, including the Migration Policy Institute and the Brennan Center, summarize a weight of evidence that immigrants, including undocumented migrants, do not increase violent crime, often have lower contact with the criminal justice system than U.S. born. Also, illegal immigrants cannot vote. This guy's whole premise is clickbait. So I know a lot of people say that, but there's a lot of times and there's a lot of cities where someone who's undocumented will commit a crime and then they don't actually document it. Oh, you're undocumented. I really don't want to deal with this, because it turns into where they have to deal with DHS or INS or something like that. And many of the states, like many of the blue ones, California specifically, if you're undocumented, then they kind of will just let you run amok. Because technically they're not beholden to you. You're a subject of another national jurisdiction. So those numbers are a bit skewed. And also, first of all, someone crossing the border illegally is a crime. You can try to downplay the severity of the crime. It's still a crime nonetheless. But people being over here, most of the people are not just sitting on their hands twiddling their thumbs. Many of them need to work to have some level of sustenance. In order for an undocumented person to work, usually they have to work under the table, which is supposed to be a crime. But also many people, they obtain illegal documentation, which will allow them to work. If you look at California specifically, they had hundreds, if not thousands, of illegal CDL, California driver's license, and specifically truckers licenses. So even if you don't want to count crossing the border illegally as a crime, you obtaining fake documentation is a crime. Many of them, if they are not proficient in English, they don't know how to read the stop signs. If they got an illegal driver's license, they didn't pass the driver's test to be safe on the road. So not only are you getting illegal documentation, then you operating the vehicle under those false premises is a separate crime. Also, if you look at like the red light districts, the informal economy, many of those chicks come over, and the dudes too. They're selling that cooch and selling that bussy, selling that badussy. You know what I mean? Because in their homeland, it's normalized. Many places, prostitution or solicitation isn't looked down upon. So many of these people come over. A lot of them are doing crimes, and just because they don't get caught don't mean that they're doing crime. I don't really need to try to parse and say whether they're doing more or less crime than native born citizens, but some people feel that it's an irrelevant topic, because if you're here illegally, like, we don't want to, so if someone gets shot by a citizen, it doesn't make it better if they get shot by a non-citizen. But they say at least the citizen had a right to be here. The non-citizen shouldn't even have been here in the first place. So sometimes people do hold maybe a certain added level of vitriol given that circumstance. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. I think that's up for the people to determine. So let me go ahead and pivot into this next story, which I'm going to discuss. Hold on. This person, I think I'm gonna have to get you up out of here. So this person said, I didn't realize how old the video is you're critiquing. No point in wasting time here. Why don't you get more relevant and stick with new videos? So This shows you how much of a pathetic loser this dude is. Because for one, if you didn't realize how old the video was, it means it was new to you. So why are you complaining? Another person with a faceless troll idiotic account, right? And what I talked about is still relevant today. So even if I bring up an old video, if it's still pertinent and relevant today, it's not about the video, it's about the issue at hand. So Tall, don't trip. I'm gonna get you up out of here since you have this type of commentary. Like, we don't mind commenting, but like bring some level of sophistication and scholarship, not just kind of pompous, whiny little petulant comments like this. And what's up with people? Why are y'all so afraid to show your face? I mean, at least put an AI picture of your face. Instead, you have this weird character. So don't trip, Paul. You can go sit in the corner, eat a mayonnaise sandwich, and rub one out listening to Trump's voice. So I'll go ahead and put you in a timeout, and we'll just get into this next video that I want to discuss. And this video that I will be reacting to, just give me uno momento, is from the channel called Redacted. So if you want to watch the video uninterrupted, you can go watch it on Redacted. This video is titled "Israel is being destroyed and the media is hiding it." So this is Redacted with Clayton Morris. Of course, I have my disagreements with many of what these people have to say, but information, valid or accurate information, it doesn't really matter who tells it.
Obviously, I don't mean to be selfish, but I don't want my son and his peers drafted into this war. And that's something that you reported today on the Liberty Report, that as Iran escalates, Congress passes automatic involuntary draft registration. Now, this is the reason a lot of us voted against the Biden administration and the Kamala Harris campaign, because the Biden administration had floated doing this for Russia. How the F did we get here now? Can you tell us about this report?
It's dangerous. And the NDAA is notorious because it's a must-pass bill. They will slip some of the worst language in there. If you remember going back 15 or 20 years, the things that they put in the NDAA. Well, this is a terrible thing because it will automatically register young men between the ages of 18 and 26 for the draft, for selective service. And so what it does, it creates a database.
So now they're trying to automatically register young men between 18 to 26 for the draft, for fight on behalf of Israel, right? So yeah, things are starting to get extremely serious here. And do you think Barron Trump is going to go fight in any of these pointless forever wars? Do you think that Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk kids? Elon Musk has a lot of kids. Do you think any of his kids are going to grow up and fight in any of these wars? Do you think any of these plutocrats are going to send? No, they're going to send your family members, and they're going to dangle some sort of, hey, you may not be a homeowner, but if you go fight in this war, you may not make it back. And if you do make it back, you may have some limbs amputated, but hey, we'll fast track you to some home ownership, you know what I mean? And 0 payments down, you know what I mean? And we'll give you a 60-year mortgage, even though you may not live another 60 years, but hey, go fight our wars, make Israel great again. How is this helping you and helping your son? And all of these gender equality people, why are they only registering young men from 18 to 26? I thought all genders and sexuality matters, right? So why aren't they registering young people from the ages of 26, of 18 to 26, right? I thought they wanted affirmative action or no affirmative action and no DEI, right? So all young people, they say we're all created equal, right? So yeah, if you're gonna automatically enroll the young men, then you should automatically enroll the young women, right? Isn't that what this country is about? Equality, right? No handouts or special privileges. Fine, no handouts or special privileges to the women either, right?
A lot of us voted against the Biden administration and the Kamala Harris campaign because the Biden administration had floated doing this for Russia. How the F did we get here now? Can you tell us about this report?
It's dangerous, and the NDAA is notorious because it's a must-pass bill. They will slip some of the worst language in there. If you remember going back, 15 or 20 years, the things that they put in the NDAA. Well, this is a terrible thing because it will automatically register young men between the ages of 18 and 26 for the draft for selective service. And so what it does, it creates a database of these people. And there's no longer any question of being able to make decisions on whether you want to register or not, and whether a war is unpopular, whether a war is unconstitutional, which this war is very, very obviously unconstitutional. You're going to be forced now to be in a situation where you will be automatically registered for the draft. And a lot of people are salivating at the idea of starting a draft, of sharing the burden. The problem with this, as Dr. Paul says, is the presumption is that the government owns you, that owns your body, that you are a slave. And that just simply isn't the case. If we were attacked, which I don't think we have, but maybe the colonel is a better historian than me, since 1812 by foreigners on our own soil, unless you count 9/11, which is another story. I mean, it's not something that's going to happen, but if it does happen again, I'm thoroughly confident in our young men and women that they will defend their own country.
Right. This is not the existential threat to the United States, Colonel, right? As you've pointed out, it comes from Mexico, it comes across our southern border. It does not come from Iran, to say the least.
No, Dan's 100% on target. And I'm very confident that if you called for a draft on the assumption that the draft was for people to exclusively defend the United States here at home, you would have no difficulty. But we all know that's not what the draft is all about. But I think it's important to point something out. We don't have an army to send. Our army is too small. It's been cut back repeatedly. We have put our money into very exotic weapons, and particularly into this very large fleet, surface fleet, that has very limited utility in the modern world today. It's wonderful to watch jets take off and land, but naval power like that isn't going to win any wars. It's not even able to defend itself very effectively against the kinds of threats that we're seeing. So we don't have an army large enough. Secondly, the army, if we were to push it, and it would have to land somewhere, that means it has to come ashore in the Middle East. Wherever it comes ashore, whether it's on the coast of Syria, Israel, or perhaps Baluchistan in southern Iran, terrible place to do it. But if it happens, no one is going to be fooled in Tehran. Everyone will watch it on, real-time television from satellite-based reconnaissance. And very shortly, as soon as you've assembled most of your force, most of the ships are there disgorging equipment, you're going to be hit with precision-guided ballistic missiles and drones. We're not prepared to deal with that. We have not got an army right now that could cope with the kind of threat environment that you see in eastern Ukraine. And we're not going to have that for some time. So the whole idea of a ground war is preposterous.
Can you go back to Karg again, the island? We featured it yesterday on the show, and we did a bit of a deep dive on how strategically important that little island is off the coast of Iran. 90% of the oil flows through Iran from that island into those cargo shipping oil containers and so forth to flow out. There is talk, multiple Trump administration officials saying that they want to capture that island. Maybe you could just go a little deeper into what a crazy move that would be, and how in the world would the United States even plan to secure such an island?
Well, the first thing is that much of the oil and fuel that comes out of Karg Island goes to India and China and Japan and South Korea. So if you're really interested in harming those countries, by all means, destroy Karg Island. But taking it and holding it without getting into a major fight, in other words, you've got to move ground force somehow or another into the region. They have to cross the water. They have to get to the island to hold it. Well, good luck. I think that's going to be extremely dangerous and very difficult to do. But the important thing for everybody to remember is that if we do this, and it's probably not going to work, the island could easily be destroyed. And then Iran has no incentive of any kind to let oil infrastructure in the Persian Gulf survive anywhere. Refineries.
So like he said, Iran has no incentive to, just let business happen as usual. So I'm going to go ahead and transition, and let me show y'all this one right here. Give me uno momento. this is kind of what he was talking about. So it shows Iranians release video of attack on an oil tanker in Iraq. So this is in the Strait of Hormuz, reportedly, allegedly. So yeah, it is escalating. I'm in California, right? So gas is well over $5, like $5 and some change, $6 at a lot of places too. Actually, like $5 is kind of like the bargain. How much are y'all paying for gas where y'all at right now? Now, I know some of the other people, but this says Iran has struck 2 oil tankers with explosives, causing them to burst into flames off the coast of Iraq. The boats are believed to be laden with explosives and are unmanned, similar to drones, except on the water. So they got some autonomous seekers out there. 38 crew members were rescued and 1 person died, according to the Iraqi news agency. So at least there wasn't a huge human casualty. However, there has been a massive economic casualty, right? So like I said, this war is ramping up, but for who? Like, who does this benefit? You know what I mean? So let me get ready to pull up this other video because both parties support war. I always tell y'all both parties are the same. And it will become apparent to people whose eyes are open in many of these segments that I will play. So this video is from a CNN Newsnight with Abby Phillips. This is titled "Trump's Iran Messaging Raises Questions about the War's Endgame," and this is from Bakari Sellers, or who I call Bakari Sellout. So if you want to watch this uninterrupted, you can watch it on his channel, or you can subscribe to whatever subscription CNN has and listen to their uninterrupted take. But for me, I will be pausing it, giving my commentary, etc., to make it transformative. So let's get into it.
Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. As the war with Iran gets messier, so does President Trump's messaging about it. Tonight, in the span of about 3 hours, the president gave wildly different accounts about where the conflict stands right now.
We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. Short-term. Short-term.
We're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete.
On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you
but
talking
soon.
about days?
I think so.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon.
Now, it's not clear what the actual status of the war is, but the president's comments contradict what his own defense secretary said just recently.
He said it will be over very soon. When is soon? 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months? You know, so Trump just goes up there and does this aimless, bloviating babble, and people, he's the greatest president. How? The dude is a stooge and an idiot. And I'm not saying that the Democrats are any better. Biden is a stumbling. Biden is an even bigger stooge than Trump. But, you know, just tell me how Trump is making America great again by fighting Israel's proxy wars and threatening to send your kids to do it.
What I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning.
Hegseth's Department of War echoed that statement, writing on social media just hours before Trump spoke, "We have only just begun to fight." And if you're keeping track of all the various reasons why the Trump administration decided to go to war with Iran, the president offered up a new justification today.
Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else.
What are the American people supposed to believe, Mark?
Look, I think the American people should know that for 47 years, Iran's been trying to attack Americans and Westerners. For 47 years, they've launched attacks on Marines in Lebanon. They've funded Hezbollah. They funded Hamas. And so I think they should know the president is committed to trying to demilitarize Iran and take away the offensive capability they had.
But don't they deserve real answers about where this war is right now, where it's headed, how long it may be, what the military objectives are, how close we are to reaching those objectives, any of that?
I think some of the objectives could be clear. And I think one thing that would be helpful is if the administration had fewer people speaking on their behalf. I think that would help keep the messaging simpler. But I don't know that there is confusion as to where we are in this offensive, Abby. I think that we've clearly eliminated the Navy for Iran. We've clearly eliminated the Air Force. We've taken away a lot of their offensive capabilities. And so I think there is still a question of like, what is the long-term mission here? But I think there's not a question about what's been happening thus far.
So he's allegedly said we've eliminated the Iran Navy, Air Force, and their nuclear capacity, but yet we're still over there. No, they're still a threat. How? They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, and they have no nuclear capacity, but suddenly we're still over there. Like, make this make sense, right? They're trying to bully Israel. How? You just said that they don't have any power. You've destroyed everything. So they're kind of double talking, saying that they destroyed this stuff, but yet still Iran is this big bad bully threatening Israel. And then they try to say, oh yeah, well, they harmed Americans. Which Americans did they harm? Oh, there were some Americans in the Middle East. Like, why are we over there? Right. So we're trying to be the world's police in the Middle East, trying to wag our fingers and tell them what to do. And then if an American troop gets harmed for meddling in their region, in their home country, many of the times, it's like, see, they just hate Americans. They hate us because our freedom. No, they hate you because you're over there raping, pillaging, and plundering. That's why they hate you.
I think Mark is right that this administration has taken incredible military action to eliminate Iran's naval capabilities, air defenses. I mean, you name it. But I think the president is also trying to have it both ways and saying that we've eliminated all of these military capabilities, and yet we have to continue to go on because they pose such a threat. Where, last year in June, you heard this administration take a winning lap saying that we've destroyed and obliterated all their military capabilities. So I think you're hearing conflicting messages because no one can also get on the same page and have the same picture of where Iran actually is.
To that point, I mean, the president said, you heard him saying that Iran was about to take over the Middle East had they not struck. But here's what the rest of his administration has been saying over the last few.
So Trump will say Iran is about to take over the Middle East. That's not true. But even if they were, like, why is that our concern, right? The only reason why they're trying to frame it as our concern is because in order for them to take over the Middle East, they need to topple Israel. But when they say that Iran is trying to take over the Middle East, what they're saying is, no, we don't want Iran to take over the Middle East because we support the greater Israel project. So that's what they don't tell you. No, we can't allow Iran to take over the Middle East because we want Israel to take over there. They're the chosen people, even though many of them are European people who immigrated there. They're the chosen people who should be overseeing all of these North African, Middle Eastern people. That's all this is about. Oil, resources, and a massive land grab.
Actually,
and to that point, I mean, the president said, you heard him saying that Iran was about to take over the Middle East had they not struck. But here's what the rest of his administration has been saying over the last few weeks and over the last year. Listen.
That regime is probably weaker than it has ever been.
This president sees the threat plainly and acts decisively. No more half measures, especially when Iran is at its weakest.
This is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them.
The reason President Trump went now is because they're at their weakest point.
The one who dies with the most toys wins.
Look, I mean, I guess the real question is, why not just tell the truth? I mean, if the truth is what Mark said, which is that Iran is a nuisance, we decided to take them out, regardless of the immediate threat that they posed in this moment, why not just say that? And then also tell us what you want to see at the end of the day. Is it a new regime? Is it just that you want to take out their capabilities? I think honesty is the piece that I think is missing here.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Iran, absolutely a threat, right? So the why of Iran isn't, I think, in dispute. At least it's not with me. It's the why now. And I think that the why now matters because there was this kind of improvisation going on. And I feel like we almost kind of stumbled into this by accident. And therefore, the lack of clarity about what we want, it produced that. So, I went to the National War College. I studied war. And it's very clear what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have ends as the first thing you define, and then you work on ways and means in order to get there. And instead, I think we're focused kind of on ways and means, and we kind of miss the end. But the end is very clear, and it has been very well defined by the Defense Department, and the Navy and the missile threat, make sure that there isn't nuclear. And we've achieved those things or are very, very close. And that's what the president said today, right? So I kind of sense that if he had just almost stuck with what we were this afternoon, maybe we would be on a different path. But somebody talked to him and we're in this kind of, oh, wait, maybe we're not over yet.
Keep going.
And
what about the political aspect of it? Because that's the other thing that the president keeps bringing up. He wants to see a more compliant, more pliable regime, and he doesn't seem to be getting that. Let me just play what a senior Iranian official told CNN this week in an interview.
I don't see any room for diplomacy anymore. Iranian military is quite strong, as you see, because they have the motivation, they have the arms that they need, which are produced in Iran. As a matter of fact, we are not dependent on any other country for weapons and arms.
So there's that. There's the fact that Ali Khamenei's son is a hardliner, has been appointed as the new supreme leader. On the political side of things, are we going to then not beat the president's own objectives, which is to have an Iran that he can work with, an Iran that's doing what he wants them to do?
Well, I mean, what does he want them to do? He wants them to not have nuclear weapons. He wants them to not have a ballistic missile program. He wants them to not have an aggressive navy, and he wants them to not be an exporter of terrorism around the world. Now,
so he can want all those things, but we're not the world's police, right? Trump in the US is not God. So he says, oh, he doesn't want them having a nuclear weapon, but Israel can have one. He doesn't want them to have an aggressive military, but Israel pushing their greater Israel project is aggressive. So all of this stuff that he's wagging his fingers and saying that not just only for Iran, this is for all of them. This is for Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, all of these places. They get to go around and try to say, we're the only democracy in the Middle East. If Israel is a democracy, Israel's democracy doesn't have to do anything with Iran. All they're trying to do is frame that, oh my God, they have been these purveyors of state-sponsored terrorism. That's like the new buzzword and bumper sticker of the day and the week, right? So you don't know, you can't find any story of Iran bombing a school in Israel that slaughtered a bunch of little girls. You can't find an instance of Iran bombing any American facility that slaughtered a bunch of girls. You can just recently find that Americans bombed Iranian infrastructure and slaughtered a bunch of little girls. And it was like, oops, my bad. And many people are saying that it was a justified collateral damage. Whose culture is this? Who raised these people, right? Because if some musty, crusty, dusty nigga from Chicago does a drive-by, we have to know, was he raised in a fatherless home? Whose culture is this, right? We have to ask. No, that's just one idiotic nigga who did a crime. He was locked up and held accountable for it, right? But then we have to psychoanalyze who his parents were, Was he malnutritioned? Fine. It is what it is, right? For all of these warmongering, genocidal maniacs who raised these people, right? What's their excuse? Because many of these people weren't raised in a fatherless home. So what's their excuse? Many of these people had silver spoons in their mouth. So what's their excuse for being bloodthirsty barbarians, right? Can't blame it on rap music. Is that why Trump and BB is dropping bomb and slaughtering tens of thousands of people? Let me guess. Blame it on the rap music. It was the N-word. That's why I dropped and slaughtered all those hundreds of thousands of Gazan people and Middle Eastern people because of the rap music. It was the rap music, I tell you. Okay.
Beat the president's own objectives, which is to have an Iran that he can work with, an Iran that's doing what he wants them to do.
Well, I mean, what does he want them to do? He wants them to not have nuclear weapons. He wants them to not have a ballistic missile program. He wants them to not have an aggressive navy, and he wants them to not be an exporter of terrorism around the world. Now, whatever happens to the next regime, I don't know, but I know this: we will not permit them to do any of those things. The nuclear piece, to me, is the most important. You cannot have a nuclear armed Iran. They showed up at the negotiations.
He says we will not permit them. So what does that mean? So first, we're not the world's police, and then we will not permit them to do this. So what? We're the police of the Middle East? Like, we can't say that on one hand that this is a sovereign nation, but we won't permit them to do this stuff because what? We're not the leaders of Iran or the leaders of the Middle East, and neither is Israel. You never hear him say we won't permit Israel to do this. Israel could do whatever. And this is why I say many of the MAGA morons, and of course the liberal lunatics, they are making Israel great again and making Israel genocidal always. All this is about putting on the capes for Israel. We don't care what happens to American citizens. You're Americans, get over it. But oh my God, we have to be so sympathetic about what's happening to Israel, which is a foreign nation, a sovereign nation. I'm a humanitarian, so I don't want to see death, despair, and destruction anywhere. However, this is not a kitchen table issue for you. This is not changing anything with your local politics, except for, maybe at the pump in some other regards. However, this is not going to lower interest rates. This is not going to make rent suddenly affordable, make you be able to suddenly afford a house. This is not going to help your credit score, etc. And I'm not saying that you should be completely oblivious, but Iran is not a kitchen table issue. It's an issue for Israel, and it's being framed as an American issue that you should be worried about this. Your kids' school are failing, but you should be worried about Israel, right? Your kid could barely read, but you should be worried about Israel, where they have free education and free health care. But ask anyone, is Israel a socialist utopia? No, Israel is not socialist. Well, why do they have free universal health care, right? Israel is our ally. Okay, fine. Let's mimic our ally. Our ally has universal health care. Let's us have universal health care. That's socialism. But you just said that it wasn't socialism in Israel. So all of these Nordic countries can have that, and it's not socialism, but you propose it to Americans and suddenly they'll say it's socialism and communism. That's a socialist, commie, Marxist thing. It's like those are all three different ideologies, but you try to amalgamate them together to push out some sort of propaganda, right? I want to be just like our allies, right? Our ally Israel. I want free college, which we used to have. Guess why we stopped having free college? Because they didn't want the niggas getting free college and educated free. That's the same reason why we don't have universal health care. You know what I mean? So all roads lead back to black, unfortunately. And, it's how people, how they will they say shoot off your nose to spite your face. Many people, if there's even an incremental benefit to black people, then they're like, no one should have it. Let us all suffer. So fine. If we can't all be equally comfortable, then we'll all be equally uncomfortable. You know, what you call hell, I call home. I'm in Hell's Kitchen with an apron and a hairnet.
Terrorism around the world. Now, whatever happens to the next regime, I don't know, but I know this: we will not permit them to do any of those things. The nuclear piece to me is the most important. You cannot have a nuclear armed Iran. They showed up at the negotiations with Witkoff and said, oh, well, we've got enough material to make 11 nuclear weapons. Well, I think having them described as ultimately being compliant or someone you can work with, I don't think that's the vector. What you have to understand about these people is that they're fanatics. They would like to bring about the end of the world by causing a nuclear war that brings in, you know, the religious piece of this for them. So they're not going to ever be compliant about that. They have this worldview. We have to take away their capacity.
And I hate when bigots like this talk about the religious piece of this, and then they will talk about how we need more Bibles in the schools and we need more Jesus, and this is a white Christian nation. How? You always talk about the founders or the framers of the Constitution, and many of them weren't even Christian. Many of them wanted a secular country and society, not a white Christian nation, right? So as much as these people will try to talk about how the Muslims are trying to push this, you know, jihadi propaganda or Sharia law, I mean, what are they trying to attempt to push with saying that this is a white Christian nation, right? Like, what values are you trying to uphold? Because it was many white Christians that owned slaves. Are you trying to uphold those values? There are many white Christians that were pedos. Are you trying to uphold those values? There are probably many white Christians that were just upstanding, law-abiding citizens. Which white Christian values are you trying to uphold? There were incestuous white Christians as well. So when people just say this is a white Christian nation and we need to uphold those values, which values? They're a bunch of white Christian hillbillies. So like, which white Christian proclivities and practices are you talking about?
To enact that worldview, which is to me why the nuclear piece is vital issue. You cannot have them sitting out there with any material.
For now,
we're
but
talking,
then,
but I mean,
then
I think
what?
that I think we're talking about the leadership of Iran. We're talking about the individuals who, the ones you were referring to, because I actually agree with everybody at the table. I know this is a show where we come on and we're supposed to, you know, have our differing opinions and probably climb across the table, but that.
And this is why he's there, Bakari sellout. I actually agree with everyone on the table. Like, okay, so like I said, both parties are the same. This is supposed to be a representation of people reaching across the aisle. But when it comes to war, they always agree. When it comes to things that don't benefit you, they always agree. And then guess what things they are opposed on? We believe trans should participate in sports. We believe that they don't. Like, so now they have these arguments about trans sports and trans bathrooms that doesn't even really affect you. They have these knockout dragouts about this is woke and CRT, and no, CRT is a college level course. No high schools, middle schools are being taught CRT, right? So it's just these nuanced culture issues where they pull out the WWE routine and make it appear as if they're vehemently opposed against each other. That part is all political theater. When the rubber meets the road and it's time to vote for disenfranchising Americans, and not only that, for warmongering, all parties come together. And he's like, I actually agree with all of you guys. So then this is the other thing too, especially with the Democrats and, you know, the vote blue no matter who's, right? When y'all come together and y'all put these people out as like your surrogates and your representation to try to seem like, oh yeah, we're a nation that can come together despite our differences. Well, if you can come together and he can look and say, I agree with all these people and these people are my friends and they're not that bad, well, then it's not that bad voting Republican after all. Right? It's not that bad voting Democrat after all. All of these people on air, they'll appear to be going at each other. I'm going at him because he's a lefty and I don't agree with him. If you don't agree with them, why are you guys yucking it up and hanging out at wine caves? After they get off screen, they go hang out with each other. right? And they'll try to tell you how bad the Republicans are, but many of these people, their best friends are Republican. The Democrats are crazy. They're lunatics. And then their best friends are Democrats because they want you fixated on this party paradigm where you are politically gang banging, right? Who bangs harder, Crips or Bloods or Republicans and Democrats? It's clearly the Republicans and Democrats. They bang harder than any gang that you can ever think about. Some people will stop talking to their family members because they voted Republican or voted Democrat. People will say, you need to get off the Democrat plantation. And then what? Come to the Republican plantation? How stupid is that? You need to leave out Rikers Island and then go what, to San Quentin? Leave that prison and come to this prison. Leave that plantation, come to this plantation. How about we all just leave the plantation and build something totally different, something new? Oh no, we got to stick on the plantation. This is how both parties operate. This is how both the people that vote for the parties operate in hive mind. Don't want to vote for third party. A vote for third party is a vote for Trump. No, it's not. A vote for Trump is a vote for Trump. If you vote for third party, that means you voted for a third party. If you have three options, hamburgers, hot dogs, and pizza, and you choose a slice of pizza, see, because you chose a slice of pizza, you actually chose the hamburger. Huh? The shit don't even make sense. See, because you voted for third party or libertarian, you actually voted for Trump. No, I voted third party. That wasn't a vote for Trump. You know what I mean? And then they try to guilt you and say that if you don't vote the way they tell you to, then, you know, it's your fault. It's not the politicians' fault for running pathetic and feckless campaigns. But yeah, both parties are the same. And like Buskari sellout says, I agree with everyone. And, you know, these people are his friends that on camera, they're supposed to have contentious debates. Off camera, you know, they're, you know, going to wine caves and having beers with each other.
Show where we come on and we're supposed to, you know, have our differing opinions and probably climb across the table. But the facts are this. We had an Iran nuclear deal, which, however you feel about it, Iran was not closer to a nuclear weapon when that deal was in place than when Donald Trump tore it up. We know that. I mean, Barack Obama actually went out and actually negotiated with these people and had an Iran nuclear deal. And now we're talking about, we have 6 soldiers, 6 people, seven who have died. Nobody's mentioned that yet. We have 7 people. And the part about it that drives them, the American public crazy is they don't know why. They're afraid of having another Afghanistan. They're afraid of having another Iraq. I mean, you can't.
It's been 1 week.
Well,
it's literally been 1 week.
I would like to add Scott's point, though.
Why is that?
Scott actually is right. I agree with Scott on the nuclear program.
Why do we minimalize that, though?
But I think Scott makes, and like we've been talking about this, like the nuclear program is something that everyone is concerned about. But an air campaign alone is not going to get at the nuclear program.
I mean,
actually
we didn't obliterate though. We did not obliterate their.
How are they concerned about the nuclear program when your boy Trump said that he already destroyed it? So just like her, she is supposed to be the person of color on here that has some sort of, you know, Middle Eastern, Muslim, Arab type background to say like, look, well, you know, we got a black person and an other melanated person. So they agree with the white dudes on here that, you know, Iran is bad, right? So let me pull up one other video from this segment. And then depending on the response, you know, with the chat, if y'all still are chatting, I will stick around. Otherwise, I will shut her down after this video. So give me uno momento and I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up like so. And this one is on the same channel, Buskari Sellers. Debate erupts over Iran school strike and U.S. accountability. So there's that word again. People love to talk about accountability. Who is taking accountability for the U.S. striking and slaughtering a bunch of little schoolgirls, right? They're saying, oops, my bad, but at least we took out some alleged terrorists. So, you know, it's collateral damage that we're willing to accept.
Tonight, more evidence that the U.S. was likely behind the strike on that school in Iran. Iranian media says that it killed at least 168 children and 14 teachers. This video shows what experts say is a U.S. Tomahawk missile striking an Iranian Navy base right next to that school, the same day the school was struck. This weekend, President Trump insisted it was Iran who attacked the school. And today, he appeared to somewhat back off that claim, but he still suggested that it could have been Iran.
I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. Whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation, but tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
Meet Sense, a breakthrough in foot therapy that wraps around your foot and ankle like a therapeutic boot.
But experts tell CNN the Tomahawk missiles are not generic. And while other countries like the United Kingdom and Australia do possess them, Iran does not. But Pete Hegseth is striking also a very different tone from the president on this story. Listen.
Well, we're still investigating, and that's where I'll leave it today. But what I will emphasize to you and to the world is that unlike our adversaries, the Iranians, we never target civilians.
There was a report late in the week from 2 officials that it was likely U.S. involvement. Is that report false?
I've already said we're investigating.
If you could tell the American public it definitively was not us, you would tell us, wouldn't you?
I would say that it's being investigated, which is the only answer I'm prepared to give.
It is a question whether they would tell us, because the president acknowledged in his comments today that he didn't know what happened. I have questions about why that is at this stage. But also, then he spins this whole false narrative about it could have been anyone, including the Iranians, because everybody has tomahawks, when that's very much not true. I mean, if you're anyone listening to that, how can you believe that they are interested in getting to the truthful answer here?
Well, I will not agree with Pete Hegseth that often, but I think he did give the right response in that interview that this is under investigation. It does have to be looked at. And because when something goes under investigation, especially by the Department of Defense, you have to let the investigation play out, even if there is definitive video.
So now she's agreeing with Hegseth, saying, oh, yeah, he said the right thing. We just have to investigate it. So they won't say that, hey, we were wrong, because they came out hot saying that, no, it was the Iranian people. It wasn't us who bombed that school. It was the Iranian people. So now they're coming out saying, oh, yeah, trust me, bro, just wait. We have to investigate. Fine. Are you going to retract the lie that you said? They're not doing that. Instead, it's just an investigation. We can't know these things. I agree. I understand. It does take time to fully know and get the accurate information. So why did you lie? That question is just being kind of dodged.
Something goes under investigation, especially by the Department of Defense, you have to let the investigation play out, even if there is definitive video. And I think that is important that he acknowledged that. I will say that when I was at the Department of Defense under Secretary Austin, we had a center of excellence that mitigated civilian harm. That was an office that was basically been completely gutted by Secretary Hegseth by I think like 90%. But these were civilians embedded with combatant commands, such as CENTCOM, that would launch strikes and be part of their targeting process. So I'm not saying that is why this strike happened. I think there has to be an investigation.
Why is Trump misleading about it?
Well,
Because he is
that
misleading about it.
But but I hear you. Lloyd Austin was former Commander General of CENTCOM, 4-star General, Peter Hegseth, Fox News host.
Yes, very different resumes.
Very different resumes.
Decorated military.
Very different resumes.
Decorated
There is
military.
no one.
Can you not acknowledge that the man served?
The man served. Yes, the man served. He
Highly decorated.
Not in combat.
Not in combat.
Hegseth?
He wasn't in combat.
Iraq and Afghanistan.
I mean, the man served our country.
And he, I think, had a Bronze Star for his
But
service.
my point that I want to get back to is that there is a level of competence that the American public is thirsting for that they are not getting from Pete Hesketh. And we're seeing that when he is up there.
And transparency.
Transparency. That's all we want. We're talking about 160 children that were killed. All we want is an honest answer that comes from you and the president of the United States. This isn't politics. This isn't Lindsey Graham versus Cory Booker. This is just tell us what we're doing, because we have 7 soldiers, as Abby corrected me last segment. We have 7 soldiers who've died. We have 160 children who've died. We understand that this is the fog of war. However, we want a level of competence from Pete Hesketh that we're not getting.
I do think that we are
What
going
is competent
to.
about this military operation, in your opinion, in your expert opinion?
I don't. First of all, I never served. And let me
You're
start
quick to
by
say
saying
this
that.
is incompetent.
No,
I want to know
no,
what's incompetent.
No. I think Pete Hesketh is incompetent.
Why?
I think
What's happening?
Because he has an inability to tell the truth.
What did he say?
What
What did he say that was false?
Because we know what happened.
No, we don't. They're investigating.
Well, I mean, look, there is.
Wait a minute.
I think, hold on.
No. I want all of you all to go out on a limb right now and tell me that the United States, even during the fog of war, did not kill those kids. Tell me they didn't.
I don't know. They're investigating it, and I'm willing to abide by the results.
I do think,
that's the right answer.
it is fine and important for there to be an investigation. I actually think Major Garrett's last question might have been the most important, which is, if the investigation does find that we are responsible,
would you ever know?
Would you tell us?
I think,
because I think that's what, to me, when I think about the United States military.
So as you can see, no one is going to take accountability for slaughtering kids. You know what I mean? What about Chicago is what they want to tell you, right? No, what about what you guys are doing over in a foreign land? New footage raises likelihood the U.S. struck at an Iranian school where a blast killed at least 165. Some have it as high as 185, some say 200 plus, right? So as y'all can see, right? So Trump was saying that no, it wasn't us, it was the Iranians, right? So the evidence points to U.S. culpability of the February 28th strike, which hit a school adjacent to a Revolutionary Guard base in Minab, Iran, in the country's southern Hormozgan province. Experts interviewed by the AP citing satellite image analysis. So who is taking accountability for this? No one. And if y'all can see some of the other headlines as well. Iran vows to keep fighting as crude oil hits $100 a barrel. Pentagon blocks photographs from Hegseth's briefings on Iran war. So this is supposed to be the party of transparency, right? But no, both parties are the same. And I'm about to get ready to shut her down. But before I do, I'm going to just play a little bit of from Dennis Sperling's podcast. I think that we can all I think we can all listen and learn from this. 'Tis the season to hold your own nuts. We have been the political doormat, society's doormat for everyone, because we've always believed that all minorities matter, all humans matter, all problems matter, all lives matter, all issues matter. We have been operating on that, but you know what? We've been neglecting ourselves in order to ingratiate ourselves with other people, in order to be accepted by other people who still don't accept us, who still don't appreciate us, who still don't like us. So now it's like, fine, you think we're low IQ, savage, thuggish monkeys? You know, we need to eliminate the degeneracy and depravity. Fine, you know what? So that means we need to pull back from everyone. We need to self-segregate, right? Because y'all don't want to be around us anyways, right? Because we're too culturally toxic. Fine. You know what? We need to address that. So we need to abstain from voting, abstain from spending money with any of these other groups, abstain from inviting people to the cookouts, and there's no hatred involved. This is for a means of survival. We're taking your advice, right? Clean up your community. Okay, fine. I can't clean up my community if I'm focused on Iran or focused on ICE out or focusing on Gaza or anything like that, right? Not only that, you guys said we were too stupid, so we don't really have the brain power or mental capacity to be juggling multiple issues at once. If you said our schools are failing, that's what we need to focus on. Our schools, not everyone else's schools, our schools. What about the fatherless homes? Okay, cool. We need to focus on that, not other communities, right? Even though they don't care about fatherless, unaccompanied minors crossing the border. Well, okay, but that's a whole nother story, right? We need to focus on us, because if no one else gives a fig about us, then, you know, who else is going to do it? It's going to be us. So let me get into this video. I'm going to play a little bit of this video, and then I will shut her down. So this video is titled Black Americans Are Focused on Ourselves. It's from the Dennis Sperling podcast. All right, let's get into it.
That they expect Black Americans to automatically support these Muslim causes because they are people of color. But they avoid the honest conversations about the realities that exist in these Muslim companies. I have spent months and months explaining to you all how the Muslims were heavily involved in the slave trade. And what you need to understand is slavery has not completely disappeared in parts of these Muslim worlds. You can go to Mauritania right now, okay? They still have hereditary slavery. It's been documented in modern times. You got Black people from Africa being trafficked all throughout the Arab Gulf countries. These are real issues that Black folk are dealing with. Nobody wants to address it. When we start talking about people of color and solidarity, they don't want to talk about that. And then again, there's also the anti-Black racism. Black Muslims and Black Africans have spoken about discrimination they experience in Arab and North Africa.
And this is why I believe that it's idiotic for people to try to put their religion over their race, ethnicity, and nationality, because religion is one of the most divisive tools and ploys ever injected into humanity. I know that there may be some good things, faith-based things that people believe is good for, but there are a bunch of people getting enslaved based on religion. Bunch of crusades where there was rape, pillage, and plundering going on in the name of religion, in the name of someone's sky daddy, but my sky daddy is real and yours isn't. And you say there's only one sky daddy, but for me, there's sky daddy and sky mommies, right? So this is all based on someone's belief. No one could actually prove it. And since they can't prove it and they can't challenge you rhetorically, then they'll kill you based on that, right? Watch all of the movies that you love and all of these shows. It can be Vikings, it can be Game of Thrones, it could be Rome, all of these things that date back and harken back to a medieval or Gilded Age time. Many of those people are using religion to justify heinous things. Many of the most religious people are engaged in the most depraved, debaucherous, degenerate things, while at the same time telling you that you need to read the Bible more. You know what I mean? So what if I raped, pillaged, and plundered and enslaved people? Just read the Bible more and you'll find a justification for why I did it. But then if you ask them, well, hey, since slavery was so good, you wouldn't mind if your daughter was enslaved. But of course, to a good master, right? No, my daughter won't be enslaved. Why? I'm sure she'll learn skills and be taken care of. She'll enjoy the same benefits that you're trying to allege that other people who were enslaved. And then they'll go on a diatribe about how slavery is not so bad. But when they want to justify it, they'll tell you how good it is. There's some Asian politician using the Bible to try to justify slavery. There's a bunch of evangelical wackos that try to justify slavery. So I say, fine, Slavery has been justified. Could your wife be enslaved? Right? You know, it's okay. I won't whoop her. You know, I'll just have her picking cotton. Right? I won't even give her 20 lashes a day. I'll just have her pick cotton in the hot sun. Right? And have her learn some skills and some ingenuity. Since slavery is so good, right? Let's just champion it on. So these people will try to make an excuse for slavery and a rationale for slavery. And then when you ask them directly, is slavery good and it should have never been abolished? Well, yeah. I mean, it should have been abolished. If it should have been abolished, why? I thought you said it was so good.
African countries that can't be brushed aside. And when Black Americans bring it up, it's not about upholding white supremacy. It's about pointing out the contradictions. You want us to support these people in Iran, but they got anti-Black racism over there. You got people living in shanty towns in southern Iran. Those of us who bothered to kind of understand a little bit can say that. But those of you guys who do that knee-jerk reaction, oh, these are people of color, and oh, you know, I'm going to support them.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Hello. You don't. You can't demand automatic support while dismissing and minimizing anti-Blackness in the very communities you that you want us to support. At the end of the day, it's not the job of Black Americans to take on every global political religious cause simply because it's framed as the oppressed versus the oppressors. Black Americans have our own historical ongoing struggles rooted in slavery and segregation and economic inequality and systematic discrimination right here in the United States. Expecting us to prioritize outside causes that don't directly benefit our community while ignoring harms that affect the Black people globally, that's one-sided. Solidarity should be mutual. It should be include accountability. It should include honest conversations about anti-Blackness wherever it exists, whether you're getting bombed right now or not. We want to talk about your racism, and that includes the Muslim communities, whether they're Persian or whatever. Shout out to David Johnson, asshole. Thank you so much. You Black folks need to reserve your resources and your attention for the Black community. You see? That's what I'm telling you to do.
Yes, they call it group economics. So if you see a taqueria, unfortunately, you can't shop there. Go make your own tacos. Go do your own hair. You don't need to be wearing that much weave anyways, but if you are going to get your weave done, do it yourself. Many of the dudes, when you getting your nails done, the dudes don't care about those long nails. They don't like those long nails. So get you some press-ons. And then if you do get some nails, make sure that you find someone that is a Black-owned business to do it, right? We just got to practice the same group economics as other people when they say that's reverse racism, but they don't want you setting up shop in their neighborhood. Name a Black-owned business in Chinatown. You won't find one, right? But they're supposed to be able to set up shop in your neighborhood, right? The Latinos don't want you setting up shop. But then if you be like, hey, man, I don't want all those fucking illegal Hispanics over here. You're being xenophobic. And then they dump them all over there. They're allowed to operate their taco stands, and the police ain't out there asking them for permits and stuff. But the brothers out there selling barbecue plates and soul food and stuff, they hit them with the permit game. And if they ain't supposed to be out there, they'll get fined and arrested. They know with so many undocumented people out there selling fruit and elote and strawberries, but they're just trying to feed their family. So was the dude selling ribs. He was trying to feed his family too. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I'm going to get ready to shut her down. I'm going to play like a couple more minutes of this, and then I'll get up out of here.
There are a lot of Black people who say, but if we focus primarily on ourselves, does that mean we stop caring about anyone else, or more specifically, how do we decide who deserves our sympathy? They say that. They say we only reserve our sympathy and empathy and support for people who didn't participate in slavery. Who we gonna support? They bring all that up.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because many of our people have been taught that you are supposed to crash out for everyone. And realistically, you're not even supposed to worry about what happens to you because you're supposed to just be here to serve the interests of everyone else. And many of us have internalized that. So, Roger, you left a lot of comments, bro. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go through every single one. Um, which video are you referring to? Because I don't know if this was an old video or not. So, which video are you? Oh, of Dennis Sperling. Okay, yeah, I'll send you that video. So Roger wants me to read some of the comments before I get out. You wrote a lot of comments and they were pretty extensive. So I'll just try to go through this one, especially in Mexico, makes me question why the hell are they moving here anyway? If you can work somewhere else and get a bunch of benefits from a place that you're at, another country, while getting a high paying salary by remoting into a remote location for the US, where if you did live here, you would be struggling to make it. Well, that makes sense. Those who are not American citizens but are here illegally are self-deporting because the understanding is with self-deport, they have a chance of coming back the right way. Then if the government is caught up with them, which I have no issue with because they shouldn't be here in the first place, because they are undermining the leverage that American citizens and legal resident workers have. If you are a legal resident, I have no problem due to the fact that employers can't use legal residents to undermine the American citizens workers leverage in the workplace, due to the fact that legal residents have the same labor rights as citizens. But if you're here illegally, you got to go back. Remember the white South Africans that went by the name Afrikaners? Sorry, Afrikaners who came here, who said they were fleeing persecution from the black majority. Trump was giving refuge to them because they are being genocided, allegedly. Well, I was just watching African diaspora news, and guess what? A lot of them are going back because they realize how expensive things are here in America, especially healthcare. And now they realize how privileged they were in South Africa. They said, wait a minute, this US is a shithole country. A statement released by a South African government says the Trump admin's crusade to save white South Africans from supposed persecution is backfiring. Instead of embracing his invitation to America growing numbers. That's a lot. So I think I read enough, but they reclaim their citizen and they are exhausted with American volatility at the end. Well, yeah, many of them came over here lying. They weren't fleeing persecution. Many of them are part of the class that does a lot of the persecution. So the fact that they came over here and said, we're victims, we're being discriminated against, having a whole apartheid nation, that's the pinnacle of discrimination, right? But just, I was about to shut it down, but since Roger gave this extended harangue, I did want to bring up one video that I'll play right here. Well, maybe a couple videos. So this is right here. This talks about, hold on. This is from Arthur Watkins Jr. This is what an invasion looks like. We are paying taxes without economic security or citizenship benefits. So breaking, Minnesota state Democrats voted to block an amendment that would have required proof of U.S. citizenship to receive taxpayer funded rental assistance. So when they say, well, they're not receiving this assistance, so why would you block a bill that will require people?
The secretary will take the roll on the A35 Lucero Amendment.
votes no.
Aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Miller votes aye.
Senator Curran votes aye.
Senator Curran votes aye.
So this video is just showing that the Democrats voted to block an amendment that would have required proof of U.S. citizenship to receive taxpayer funded rental assistance. So many people that are American citizens, they say you make too much money and you're ineligible. But people that come over and are seeking asylum and just seeking a better life, many of them, they say, I only had $2 in my pocket. So they roll out the red carpet if you have $2 in your pocket, allegedly. There's no pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But if you're struggling and you like, hey, look, man, I don't make much. I only make 30,000 or 40,000. That's not a lot in California. If someone said that, and they'll be like, we don't care. You know what I mean? They want you completely impoverished. They want you to be making like 10,000 or less. You know what I mean? What people will be making that? People seeking asylum, right? So here, let me play this last video.
The demographic changes. We just ended African American political power, by the way, because of the demographic changes. Just basically made it, both parties have paid, especially Democratic Party, a lot of attention to what black voters want because they're a huge part of the Democratic coalition. And now that's not true. And so it's not, this is a complicated question. Anyone who says, it's just white racism is, what is your average black person in Chicago, native born, family been here 300 years? What does he think of watching his city overwhelmed with illegal aliens?
Exactly what they think. I was up in Chicago last week. I met with hundreds. I met with black pastors. Black pastors are upset.
Well, they should be upset.
Yeah, they feel like, people who are not supposed to be here, enter the country legally, which is a crime. I'm going to keep talking about that, are getting massive amounts of care, right? Free hotel room, 3 square meals a day, free medical care. And the black community feels left behind because a lot of these people are, they could use some of that tax money in Chicago to help them. And they're taxpayers. They should have the first chance to get some of that help. But the mayor of Chicago just, he's ignoring his own community. And,
this is a democracy, so we make decisions based on population size. And if you dilute the population, you dilute the political power of the people who are born here, very much including black people. So really, it's a takeover of our government, of our democratic system. And I just want to say it for the third time, it completely disenfranchises black people. And they're, black leaders in Congress who supposedly speak for black people, they sold them right out, actually.
Well, there you have it. Like I said, the Sambo sellouts and tethers have sold us out for some crumbs of butter biscuits, right? So there's no reason for me or anyone in my community to be championing caping for open borders. There's no metrics that you can point to that will say, hey, this positively impacts your community, right? When they start bringing up GDP and all this other stuff, that's for the big wigs and oligarchs. That means some plutocrat somewhere gets to line their pockets based on an influx of illegal immigration. You know what I mean? But mass immigration, legal and especially illegal, it doesn't help us at all. So I'm going to get ready to shut her down because I do have some other engagements. I do appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. So I do got some visuals. I'm going to run those down and hopefully y'all stick around to the end and, end the show with me the right way. Now, it won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. So hopefully if you made it this far in the video, you've already liked, shared, hopefully subscribed. If you do subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you haven't liked the stream yet, then I gotta hit you with a friendly reminder. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed.
Be easy, be easy, he is that dude. Ooh, he is that dude. That dude, be easy, he is the one that you can call so he can get the job done. He about to reign supreme if you thought his run would soon end. He just getting started though, so go ahead and tune in. Be easy, he is that dude. Ooh, 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 he is that dude. Follow B-Eazy or else. Ay, 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 yo. B-Eazy is that dude. You already know, for sure, you already know. It's easy to see why he is that dude. He's been a favorite, even if you hating it. Give him his flowers, pay him respect. He's a certified legend and one of the best. Be-Eazy, remember the name.
B-Eazy Dat Dude.
Be-Eazy, he is that dude. It's plain and obvious. A certified professional, ain't never been a hobbyist. He is one of the nicest, realest, coldest, and dopest. So you should take notice. Woo! That dude, Be-Eazy, that dude, Be-Eazy, that dude. Show love and support to Be-Eazy, that dude.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Follow. Be-Eazy. You know you want to.
We're waiting.
Yeah. Hey. Be-Eazy that dude, yeah. Shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces. The definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These verbs that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line in your Fitbit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Goku. For the cocaine, they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on shite racking and fly back out to Milwaukee. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you wanna slide with that dude, be easy. B-Eazy. We going all the way to the top. Believe